My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. (90187P2) 6HWP 568 7RFY 692 and 9AZY 518. It's called Crossing a Path. And like Starbucks demonstrated, Starbucks represents the people of the state. Starbucks represents the population. Starbucks represents what's going on amongst the people regarding what I'm documenting. And it's 10:08 a.m. And this is the light source that's outside of my window, my windshield. If you'll recall, this is exactly where I was at 7:50 in the morning yesterday, where this same population knew exactly where I was. They know exactly who I am, and that's evidenced through the scientific impossibility that this is the sun, the natural environment, and that it would be in perfect alignment with me. In addition to that being in perfect alignment with me at the same exact location I was hours earlier yesterday at 7:50 in the morning, where I used this time to compare where I'm at 7:50 in the morning in Hesperia at Courtyard by Marriott. Not only is this not outside of the window of the Courtyard by Marriott at 7:50 in the morning, the entity maintained that light source outside of my window at the Hesperia's Courtyard by Marriott, which I evidenced through video documentation at 10:26 a.m. That's approximately 9 minutes away from now. It's 10:15, which is showing the fact that the light source remained outside of that window on that specific side of that hotel room outside of my window at 10:26 a.m. While I am in West Covina, and a population is engaging in terrorism. The city of West Covina, impossible light activity, that terrorizing event that I captured inside of the venue of Starbucks, where the demon possessed engage in terrorizing you, and they engage in that while they look to the left and the right. The most inhumane treatment while they're criminally monitoring you. This is what they're doing, concentrating it inside of my car, while a phenomenon, a scientific impossibility that the sun would be at the same exact location outside of the rear view window of my car where it was at 7:50 in the morning. You also saw West Covina police engaged in group stalking via criminal summoning. This is a demon that is exercising fictitious authority even while pulling over another demon to criminally monitor an American citizen and their unintelligent measure to engage in group stalking occurred under the fake sun that I also captured at this same location at 9:24 in the morning. This is under all circumstances the pattern of conduct. This is stalking by a population, like I stated, aiming engineered light of my vehicle at night, aiming engineered light of my vehicle during the day, under the fake sun that's at the same exact location in alignment with my vehicle at 10:16 in the morning. Those third parties whose license plates I recorded, those are sex offenders. You need to know that they're into monitoring the private genitalia, the private parts of a woman, stalking a woman, and doing so as a corporate means, which is what the entire city of West Covina is engaged in. This is what the state of California is engaged in. It's group stalking. And it's evidence through the demonic environment. The sun would never be at the same exact physical location. As a matter of documentation, from 7:50 till the current time, 10:17 a.m. I captured at 10:19 a.m. The fake sun is over me in Pomona at the Starbucks at 3423 Pomona Boulevard. This is not Pomona, California. Neither is sunlight ricocheting into your car and moving across just like you saw inside of Starbucks. That's what they're doing inside of this. The people of the state of California are going to be prosecuted like the domestic terrorists that they are, like the animals that they are, like the sex offenders and the dangerous psychopaths that they are. Understanding what domestic terrorism is in America, it is the unlawful taking of lives and kidnapping them by a corrupt government, and they does it necessarily in concert with a malicious population who is targeting and hunting down American citizens. And they do so, you need to know, while they serve Satan. These are the demon possessed. It is currently 10:18 a.m. This is not in Pomona. This is not over the Starbucks in Pomona at Temple and Pomona Boulevard. It is not the natural environment. As I captured at 9:24, where this fake sun is in motion over me as I'm driving by the demons of the West Covina Police Department, it is stationary in this position. That's directly opposite of what I captured on video. At 7:50 in the morning, it's stationary. At 10:19 right now, that's a scientific impossibility. At 9:24 in the morning, when I'm driving down this street and it's moving in alignment with me, when I'm en route to a different location, this is a scientific impossibility showing what a population is doing. They're stalking. That's how group stalking is identified, and it's demonic. All right, while I'm documenting ongoing impossible light inside of my car, they're engaged in federal stalking, monitoring this evidence, and the state will be prosecuted for its ongoing violation of what is the doctrine of supremacy. They're interfering with the federal investigation while they monitor evidence that belongs to the federal government, because that's exactly what this video represents. This is P.O.C. It's 10:19 a.m. Alrighty, this is the same exact setting that occurred yesterday at 9:24 a.m. I'm on the same street. This is Amar in West Covina. And at 9:24, the West Covina police are engaged in criminal summoning, group stalking me while I was in this neighborhood documenting the people of the state who are group stalking in West Covina, California. And you're looking at the scientific impossibility. This is the evidence of demons who are stalking maliciously. And this is where the fake sun was in alignment to my vehicle as I documented, not only at 7:50 in the morning, but at 9:24. And I just captured this fake sun stationary over my vehicle, waiting until the moment that I move, which is the evidence that everybody is stalking you under what is the necessary environment, the evidence of a fake sun. That's exactly why I refer to it that way. This is a population of demons who are stalking. License 7NEM602. License 6TCS223. Anyone that's being documented, anyone engaged in domestic terrorism that's not a natural born citizen is going to be deported. This is systematic crossing a path by a bunch of demons. 8JBM 477 54863N1 CHS 7020. That's Washington. And this is not the sun. This is what I engaged in yesterday at 9:24 a.m. This is the same intersection in West Covina, being demons over a corrupt department. Richard Bell is over a demon infected and corrupt agency that were engaged in criminal summoning under a fake sun, and that was a crime scene. Okay, a crime scene which was showing federal group stalking and monitoring. In concert, they're holding hands, engaging in criminal activity with the population, because this is a scientific impossibility, especially while it's stationary over the Starbucks in Pomona, and while it's outside of my window of the hotel room in Hesperia at Courtyard by Marriott, let alone the fact that it's stationary remaining for the duration of the day at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, which is where I began my documentation of federal group stalking and monitoring in 2024. This is P.O.C. License 7BWJ043. That same conduct never creates impossible light moving across surfaces at a distance from you. All of these are demons, and they're all group stalkers. and they're violent sex offenders monitoring my genitalia as a population. And they're demon possessed, they're group stalking under a specific environment that they know very well is present for your demise. It's evidence in group stalking. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:22 a.m. Azusa Avenue and Amar. All of these commercial businesses, this is the state of California that is a group stalker. This is P.O.C. This is exactly where I ended my video yesterday at the red light. This is P.O.C. Good morning. It is currently Wednesday, November 13, 2024. Documentation of terrorism via directed light, a demon that's creating light activity by crossing lanes in traffic while they're group stalking. License 7BWJ043. Somebody that's touting being a dad. They're a sex offender. They're a threat to whoever they gave or contributed to the conception of while they're group stalkers in California. And they're engaged in terrorism along with 9NQM294. This is the lawlessness that's ongoing in West Covina. The shameful conduct by a population who's group stalking and engaging in pursuing people for no legal or lawful purpose. And I'm capturing their license plates because they're group stalking, and the evidence of that, I captured more spectacular video, the evidence to the rest of the world regarding what you can be aware of in your own life for your own protection. Not only the reality of the demon-possessed who are pursuing you like Night of the Living Dead, and they want to present themselves as being normal, and also exercising in the United States, exercising any constitutionally protected rights, while they are literally masquerading as being those benefiting from your constitutional rights, freedom of expression while we're out in the public, or even while they're at where they live or pay their mortgage, and that all of that is a fiction. It's not. The specific environment is showing where the government is stalking, and it's demonic. All right. So this is putting the constitutional rights in its proper perspective and enforcing your constitutional rights based on that malicious system that's underway. Never mind the fact that it also happens to be demonic. It is direct evidence showing stalking by a public entity that's relying on a population of people who are directly cooperative in that criminal endeavor. Very highly malicious. And those two third parties whose license plate I documented, they're engaged in terrorism via directed light. That is exactly what you see inside of the Starbucks, the latest venue where you see spectacular light activity. That is there is no Toyota, no Mustang, no Scion, no Nissan that shoots any light, no Tesla even, shoots any light outside of the, out of the side of their vehicles while they're driving anywhere. And what's coexisting with demons coming out of Starbucks' drive-through is impossible light activity is shooting into Starbucks' venue. That is speaking to the how vital this impossible light activity is, how vital this fake sun, this stage that the entity is standing on while they're stalking you. That reveals how key, how vital, how central the engineered light is. First of all, it's demonic. Second of all, it's revealing stalking. The entity is always stalking you in your path. That's group stalking with the presence of engineered light, both day and night. And while they are driving by me, the license plate that I'm documenting, and I also took images of them, and those demons know that they're being documented. That's why they are holding up a paper to block their face while they're engaging in that which they're too ashamed to admit to engage in, but yet they're doing it. But it's not just them, it's the entire city of West Covina. It's the entire city of Pomona as I drive into that city. While that which is not anything even remotely close to the operation of a natural environment remains over the top of my vehicle, isolating me, speaking to who everyone is targeting through that unnatural environment, through the identification of that scientific phenomenon. Well, a bunch of demons who are very much the living dead are stalking together, and it's indicative, it's demonstrated through the impossible light activity, and that's what's occurring while demons threaten my life, threaten my safety, threaten my well-being, while they interfere with the federal investigation. Both of those are bases to be subject to federal prison, by the way, while they're group stalking on the roads and the highways. And so I'm capturing this fake sun. And as these demons are crossing path, group stalking, impossible light moves inside of the car, attacking you with that which isn't even naturally occurring. 7166R93, the same exact occurrence while they're stalking on the roads and the highways, which I want to be clear, the mayor of Pomona is a group stalker. The mayor of West Covina is a group stalker. So is the chief of police. So is the sheriff's department. So are the courthouses and those who work in the courthouses in the city. They're group stalking. That's why these demons on the roads and the highways are group stalking. That's what you are. That's what the entity is telling the whole world while they engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring against its own prosecutor, because that's exactly what I represent. While I speak to, and I will never mince words regarding what the entire state of California is engaging in. And it tells about all of the demons who are in positions of leadership. Their dangerous and corrupt leadership is encouraging and facilitating this criminal system, which is the ongoing criminal endeavor to murder and kidnap someone. While, by the way, they happen to be demons. And as you see the conduct that demons are intended to, that tend to engage in, these demons are hereby disqualified, literally by their criminal engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring. 8 KWF 659, stalking. Also sex offenders into monitoring genitalia of women that don't consent to that. License 4WJK 147. Hold on, let me document the 4. That is 7WJK147. And impossible light activity moves across the roof of my car while I document that sex offender who has an American flag plastered on the back of their Toyota while they're group stalking in it. A Toyota Sequoia. All right, looks like an aged Asian. If that's not a natural born citizen, it doesn't matter when they were granted naturalization, they're out of this country. All right, it is currently, by the way, they do not value their citizenship even after upon being exposed for group stalking. The entity continued to engage in this criminal pattern of conduct, and they're going to be deported. Every single last one that's not a natural born citizen. License 8GVJ632. And I want to be clear, the prosecution of the state of California is providing one second, let me get this license plate of this group stalker. In a white van, license 55773U2, license 9FNZ856. These demons are group stalking with Mount San Antonio Community College. That's a corrupt institution that is educating a bunch of demons that are going out into the workforce in California and in the rest of the country, by the way. Whatever they do with their AAs, going to 4-year corrupt institutions and presenting themselves as professionals, qualified, and they are not. When you are group stalking, it supersedes anything on your resume, and you will be kept out of in the industries where you're a threat to the public. And that's exactly what the city of West Covina, that's exactly what the city of Pomona demonstrate. Why group stalkers will not be permitted to just work anywhere. It doesn't matter what your training and what your educational background is while you're a sex offending group stalker, a terrorist. Okay, it is un-American, and it's not going to change because you have some sort of educational background. All right, I want to be clear. The built-in resolution, which is the prosecution of the state of California, this deportation measure, this is removing those that are unworthy to be in this country by your disrespect of the Constitution, of the American flag. Putting an American symbol on the back of your vehicle is not patriotism. While you target other American citizens, while you act with a corrupt government that you are fully acting in sync with. And if you actually respect the Constitution, then you would not act in conformity to that corrupt government. That corrupt government in California is going to be prosecuted. They cannot shelter you. They cannot help you. They can provide absolutely no argument in federal court. And because those that have been granted citizenship in this country, because they've been given over, prostituting the system even, while the government incentivizes group stalking in California, that same government is going to be prosecuted, and so will those granted the privilege. ON4GOLF and 8GVJ632. Demons that are engaging in communicating a threat, terrorism, retaliation, and that's the basis of federal prison as well. Why they, first of all, ONGOLF drives right onto the grounds of the corrupt institution, Mount San Antonio College. This is a corrupt institution that knows that I'm referencing its name, and I am going to repeat that. A fake sun is moving over that institution full of demons that call themselves professors, teachers, and a bunch of demons that are sitting there in the classrooms, and they're group stalking. They're not learning. They're group stalking me. That's why a fake sun is over me while I drive past that whole institution. That's their focus. And that is speaking to what is so absolutely pathetic about a whole society. All right, speaking to the army of demons who serve Satan, who don't have their own lives, they don't have their own business. License 8RRC 483, and by business I mean they don't have anything to be concerned of. They find themselves to be unworthy, no matter how well they decorate themselves and how well how highly they esteem themselves. Especially 9NNU 107, group stalking me while driving a red Corvette. Don't be impressed by demons. Don't be impressed. Okay, they're stalking me. while they're under a fake sun. This is a demon that's obsessed with my genitalia, driving around in a Corvette. If that impresses you, you need to know that demon's secrets. They're stalking. All right, if you've got a whole Corvette, and if that is the emblem, the symbol of having made it in American society, this very conduct of group stalking while being in a Corvette directly rebuts that nonsense. Okay, license 9NNU 107. This is somebody that doesn't like themselves, is a threat to children, is inclined to sexually violent, perverted criminal activity with a corrupt government, is group stalking, is terrorizing the one whom he's stalking on the roads and the highways while impossible light is riddling all through my car. A scientific impossibility while the sun is supposedly remaining in an entirely different city over the Courtyard by Marriott in Hesperia, California. These are the pathetic demons in the city of Pomona now that I'm driving into, coming from the pathetic city of West Covina. Stalking me, consumed with me. It's not a compliment. It's the prosecution of an entire state. All right, and I started this podcast this morning naming those terrorists by license plate. They're engaging in what is the ongoing pattern of conduct. And while the entity does so, while you're in operation of a dangerous vehicle, a dangerous machine such as a vehicle, that's a threat to your life. They're trying to kill you while you're on the road. That spectacular light activity you see shooting inside of Starbucks, where there's no sun over Starbucks. It's remaining over me while I drive past Starbucks. All right, the entity is engaging in a pattern of conduct that is inherently designed to take your life. They are terrorizing you with engineered light to psychologically harm you. They're engaging in that, inflicting that while you're driving a dangerous machine. It is a basis of federal prison. An entire population does that while they're obsessively and admittedly stalking as a population. It's 10:35 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, license 8TCY291, 8C. Oh, hold on one second. I already got 9NEC 984 on video, 9CFK 106, 5GME 729. These demons are engaging in what you saw exactly on video, terrorizing thousands of people, one after another, terrorizing with impossible light inside of your car, just like you saw inside of Starbucks. 9L20P81 paper, 6DOY 209. 52724E1, 5049636. That's a main plate on a large truck. Looks like absolute relocation service. And these demons are trying to put the pedal to the metal while they engage in terrorism on the roads. License PALKA3 and license 8CFC 540. Terrorism by a directed light, and then seeking to flee the scene by crossing path and speeding away on the freeway. All right, this is where an entity engages in many murders, an assault. This is attempted murder while your group stalking and car accidents occur. 8LH 463, I believe that's a Washington plate. License 24451L1. This is the entity that is speaking to, again, the rampant fraud, insurance fraud, theft of ID. These demons are entirely corrupt in California, and many of the policies that are designed to make people whole when you are actually a true victim, survivor of, for example, of some sort of accident, something that's not planned, in other words, something that is not conspired with regard to seeking some unlawful means of profiting, such as insurance fraud. This is what California relies on. This entire system is built on corruption. I'm showing you the evidence of what are demons and their criminal system that is underway. You're speaking to the insurance companies that are acting in California, acting with the demons who are the people of the state in California, acting with the government bodies, every level of government in California, where it's actually a means of fraud. Okay, you have what is the fires that are supposedly caused by the sun. It's not even the natural environment. There is no fire in Northern California caused by the sun. When I'm documenting it remaining over the Starbucks for over 8 hours. When I'm documenting it remaining over the Holiday Inn in Hesperia for over 10 hours at one address. This is not a naturally occurring fire. This is, again, demons who are engaging in acts of fraud while they also want to present themselves as though they're engaging in some sort of job. These are the demons that call themselves firefighters. All right, they're putting their hard work, the risking of their lives on the news, and they're a bunch of demons putting out a fire that is caused by the demonic under the fake sun, while they are also literally all they're doing is group stalking. And I'm showing you all the ways in which this system is exposing corruption and the ongoing. It's a perpetual stage. Everything is an act in California. They are acting like they have car accidents. They are acting like they have dangerous fires that are caused by the ongoing aggressive nature of the environment. It's not the natural environment, ladies and gentlemen. The fires that CAL FIRE are putting out, the fires that the county fire departments are putting out, it's the work of Satan. It's the work of these demons who are arsons as well, and they make money off of that. And they present themselves as victims on the news. They present themselves as what are heroes on the news while they're putting those fires out. Understand the level of malice is what I'm getting to, because there are those that are like myself who would be subject to the harms that are necessarily going to precipitate from a fire or a car accident. But you are actually a victim while they're conspiring together, stalking in the path with light activity. While the fake sun is over me, 08234T3, 3454Z2, highlight electric. This is Scorpion 2, license. Oh yeah, this is Hertz. PMT 7286, and security paving, heavily documented terrorist 06864 7Z. They're group stalking under the freeway bridge. Understand that positioning is if were I to stay on the freeway, it's a measure of light activity creation that I would not see. I got off the freeway. They're stalking in the path underneath that bridge covering, and it's light activity creation. Okay. I want to make sure that I'm pointing out nothing that the entity is doing is anything other than the P.O.C. because a whole fake sun is remaining over you. You're looking at in other words, everywhere that I'm going, I'm pointing out to you what is the criminal engagement in the elements of monitoring. It's very, very clear to see under a fake sun that surrounds you over every city. When I'm going into any and every city, every location, all of this is occurring while a fake sun remains stationary over Alvarado Gardens. And that's why you see it on the face of the YouTube channel, which is not only exposure of the California, which is exposure of the United States, by the way. It's just, I didn't do it. California did it to me. And it is my duty to speak to what Satan is doing and to prosecute it as well. This is, I want to be clear, while this state is practicing witchcraft and tried to sacrifice me, the prosecution of the state of California is a massive return to sender. Okay? What they sought to do against me, the Lord God has not permitted, and the prosecution of the state of California is a massive return to sender to these witches and wizards and warlocks in California that thought that they were going to murder me in some sort of honor to Satan. It's not happening. And all these demons, all these witches and warlocks that are sitting in position as mayor, as chief of police, as sheriff, county sheriff, those demons are on their way out as well. Okay, that's what you're witnessing. License 5BHX142, 6UHX564. The entity is maintaining a fake sun over me while I drove from West Covina, California. Remember, when I'm waking up at 10 o'clock, 9:52 a.m., the sun is already stationary over my head at Starbucks yesterday at 9:52 a.m. And this is why you document, because Satan is a liar. All right. It is an impossible occurrence that I'm able to capture that in West Covina at the location where I was at 7:50 in the morning. It is also impossible that the sun is over the Starbucks in Pomona already when I'm looking at it at 10 a.m. in the same position where it was at 7:50 in the morning. And it remains over me en route to that same location where I was already at 9:52 in the morning yesterday. At approximately 10:30 a.m., it's arriving with me, over me, to that venue where it was already planted over that venue. If I am not the subject of group stalking, you're understanding what is an inevitable body of evidence showing what is, under all circumstances, recognizing what is targeting by a population of demons. That's demonic. Satan is engaged in the wannabe God. He will never be. He is not the equal opposite. This is a demonic imitation of the natural environment, and it tells on all the demons who are stalking in California. And of those demons that are stalking in California, you have lost your citizenship. You are not staying in this state, in this country. You're on your way out. Those demons that are sitting in positions of leadership, you're on your way out. It is telling on every single last one of you. That's what you fail to recognize. You are on your way out. This is your return to sender. It is currently 10:54 a.m. The entity is stalking under a fake sun that's now going in the westbound direction over my vehicle, where I just captured it on video, going over the city of Montclair, where I am documented. In August of 2024, I'm getting my car repaired while they're monitoring my genitalia in the bathroom of that Montclair Metro Nissan in Montclair. The fake sun is over me at 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. That's not the sun while I am in the morning, 10 o'clock, daylight savings time, it would be 11. That duration of time is something that is insurmountable evidence regarding the pattern of conduct. And what happened at 5 o'clock in Montclair under that fake sun? Oh, the pattern of conduct, the hallmark. those demons that are waiting to be removed from the position that they hold. They're waiting for that conviction for domestic terrorism as a whole department. The Montclair police stalking an American citizen in helicopter. They derive pleasure and gratification from engaging in very imprudent criminal activity that's also documented on video, because they're so convinced that they're going to accomplish murdering or kidnapping you or defaming you, in other words, and that everyone's going to just disregard the video. That's not going to happen. This return to sender is accomplishing your conviction, your permanent removal from law enforcement, and how this country is engaging in targeting American citizens while serving Satan. All right, it's going to show how expensive, how costly it is to serve Satan. 9FQX 987, 9GFW 373, 9DJA 791, 8Z99974, 9HGP 922. Demon stalking under the fake sun that's now going in over the same freeway over me in the opposite direction. Okay, license 7JFM700 25981B2. All right, this is P.O.C. documenting the pattern of conduct on podcast and on video. And that video I narrated a lot. I captured more than one video, but specifically the one where I'm on the freeway and I'm passing through the city of Montclair. I'm passing through, if you're aware of Southern California, these sister cities are literally streets apart. And on the 10 freeway, I'm vastly going through different cities, and I've documented it very heavily. And there is no time of year. There is no daylight savings time, which is only the difference of an hour, that will make up for what is clearly an impossible occurrence, that the sun is going to be directly over me in the city at 10 o'clock in the morning. Remember, Southern California is not the center of the universe. And contrary to what these demons believe, I am not the center of the universe. So the sun that's over me in Montclair at 7 o'clock in the morning, for example, is not going to be over me in the city of Montclair, where you have a whole other East Coast where they're looking at supposedly a sun. It's not going to be in that position, specifically even over me in that city at 11 o'clock. That's 8, 9, 10, 4 hours. Where is the sun going? It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. Neither is sunlight the product of ricocheting horizontally all over the place. Like you see the light show inside of Starbucks. They're singing to you. Demons are singing. That's a horrifying reality. It's not something that's poetic, okay? The demons are singing to you regarding, here I am, prosecute me. This is what we're doing. That's what that engineer light speaks to. It's an impossible occurrence, and I'm referencing the demons in Pomona, California at the Starbucks. License 8 USA 897. All right, this is the pattern of conduct. The entity is keeping a fake sun, and it's to all the rest of the country is not getting any sun. There's no sun while it's remaining over Pomona for the duration of the day. It is highly unintelligent then the next day to have that same light source that's stationary for one day. You're going to juxtapose these videos. Highly probative regarding how the demons operate. That's what it is. Studying for your information, for your education, for your protection. It's not under any circumstances plausible at all. It is clearly on its face idiotic, just like I stated it is. Just like the evidence shows that it is. The gig is up. This massive return to sender is going to result in a built-in resolution regarding the immigration problems that these demons in positions of leadership, they don't have any genuine appetite to actually solve it. They don't. That's why it remains as a problem. You know why? Because they believe while they serve Satan, it keeps them employed. They're all fired. All of them are fired. All of them are fired. The built-in resolution for the immigration problem is the prosecution of the state of California. That's going to solve much of the immigration problems because they're out of this country. You engage in un-American criminal conduct targeting American citizens. It's antithetical to the privilege whereby you were granted the ability to be here. And so since you don't like it, you can go. You can go. You're not welcome here. The entity is demonstrating that while they continuously do so. Remember, these demons that are not natural born, they're monitoring evidence. 9FTW 507, 8WBX 138. Wild Visser bus services, demons that drive school buses. Group stalking 97727R3, and this demon 6XOH381. Group stalking. This is an aged third party who's group stalking under a fake sun and terrorizing me with impossible light activity, while the fake sun is remaining over me at Mountain Avenue. All right, the cowards that are group stalkers in California, and you know that they're cowards, in case you did not know, a bully is somebody that is not to be feared. A bully is somebody that's greatly insecure. It takes a whole population of people that serve Satan to try to come against a child of God. That's what this represents. This is nothing to fear. But the Lord God will call somebody in order to do the bidding of the Father. And that's what I represent. And there is no demon in hell that's going to silence me. And so the entity engages in this show of cowardice. All right, controlling the traffic lights, so that demon, that sex offender, so I can't continue to pursue them. That's literally, I just want to document. That's how far these punks go. I'm not going to. These are punks, and that, by the way, that's what a bully is. A bully is a punk that has not come across the person to put them in their actual position. That's what bullying is all about. They're going to bully the wrong person one day because everybody else gives into it. That doesn't mean everybody's going to give into it. Okay, so you are engaging in what is a show of cowardice while you're group stalking at that. This is, again, demons who hide behind traffic lights because that coward is trying to get away, okay, scared to death. That's exactly what's going on while the light turns red immediately and that demon accelerates as fast as he can because he knows that he's being given the spotlight. But I've already got his license plate. You're not escaping it. All right. That's what fills the state of California, by the way. And that's exactly what is sitting in positions of leadership in California. All right. And what was it that I was discussing? I'm discussing the reality of the pattern of conduct that's underway by a bunch of demons who are group stalking as a way of government. This is how they police. This is how they are maintaining power. And this is how they keep themselves employed. Disingenuously discussing the problems that are present in the state. And guess who is the primary cause of these problems? The demons that I'm documenting for group stalking. They make up the crime rate. They're the ones that are the immigration issues. They're caused by the people of the state. They're group stalking. Resolution, deportation, just like that. You're disqualified. You're not even qualified to be here. License 602-8V, handicap. P.O.C. I am at 11:02 a.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me at 12:02 p.m. at Alvarado Gardens. While the entity is keeping a fake sun over me, coming from West Covina, California today. This is, again, the absurdity where the entity is stalking in a highly unintelligent manner, which is clearly identified when it's documented for you to witness. It's not intelligent, and it's also not clever. It's literally defying fifth grade logic. This is what their groups are. This is why I describe it in the way that these are the idiots stalking under a fake sun. And at nightfall, you are so imprudent. You are that much unaware to not be able to deduce perhaps we shouldn't fly over in helicopter because of what the plaintiff already has on the record. Those idiots it's not only the woefully dangerous lack there with regard to an IQ, with regard to an inability to cease to engage in what is criminal. That's also speaking to an ongoing determination to engage in what's criminal, but it's speaking to a very low IQ as well. That sort of lack with regard to those that are in positions of leadership, that's a danger to the state. It's a danger to the country. What are these people? How are these people getting these positions? Because they engage in sex rituals? Because they practice voodoo? They made some sacrifice to Satan and that got them their position of leadership? Your time is up. Your time is up. And everybody knows that you serve Satan as well. And they're also witnessing all the ways in which you're disqualified to even be in that position. You lack the abilities, the core baseline skill set to even be in the position that you're in. When you're confronted with what is right and wrong, what do you choose to do? You choose to continue down that path that you're a follower. You're not even a leader. You are witnessing your permanent removal, your public disqualification. Your shameful criminal activity, it's not a secret. You are going to be shamefully removed from the position you are currently holding. You've been nothing but a placeholder. And someone else who does not serve Satan, and that becomes legally relevant since the state of California sought to, through demonic means, target an American citizen. It is directly relevant. This is not meshing together religious rights. No, the government is practicing the demonic, seeking to murder and kidnap maliciously American citizens. It is legally relevant, the fact that the ones that's going to replace these demon-possessed group stalkers that are in positions of leadership, it's legally relevant that they not be demon-possessed. And that's not going to be some standardized test in order to test whether they're demon-possessed. You're talking about those that will be put in position that are fully tested with regard to their unwillingness to compromise. Their actual leadership abilities. Okay, they're actual genuine beliefs in the things that you're supposed to promote while being in a position of leadership. And it's not going to be gained through some sex ritual. All right, through praying to the fake moon by that. A bunch of demons that are not even operating in reality. They're sitting in positions of leadership. Okay, these are the psychopaths and the sex offenders calling themselves mayors and chief of police. Your time is up. Your time is up, and I cannot stress that enough. This massive return to sender is not only serving for what is a prosecution for your criminal activity, it is your permanent removal. You're going to be plucked out of the positions that you have stolen. You've stolen them. It's currently 11:05 a.m. It's Wednesday, November 13, 2024. This is P.O.C. All right, you're listening to the podcast, and you'll see images of group stalking at yet another Starbucks. This is, again, Starbucks is just indicative about what's going on in this country, and it's a problem. And it starts with stalking, and this is because Satan has so many people. They're engaging in surveillance, sitting in their cars, waiting for me to get in my car. This is, again, babysitting. Like a bunch of demons that are obsessed with you, and they were all monitoring my genitalia right now, okay? Gratified by listening to me relieve myself in the bathroom. 9NNY743, a sex offender, okay, of the Caucasian brand, a sex offender, a male, and then goes home, has a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever he or she has, and is engaged in sexual violence as a way of life. This is sexual violence going to be appreciated under federal law. You need to understand that sexual violence is more than that which the state of California is willing to, I would say, identify or acknowledge, rather, while the state of California is a sex offender itself. Surveillance inside of a bathroom, yeah, that qualifies. That's by a surveillance by, remember, a population. Everybody in Ontario is monitoring my private activity in a restroom, and it's occurring inside of your neighborhood Starbucks, where the fake sun is over the Starbucks. Remember, I'm not at the Starbucks in Pomona. I went on the freeway. The fake sun remains over me on that freeway en route to this Mountain Avenue Starbucks, where I have documented the pattern of conduct at all hours of the day, by the way. License 8NDU298. This is a woman that's demon possessed, and she's a violent sex offender, okay? If she's someone's grandma, she's a threat to those children. License DL6156, I believe that's a paper plate. She's monitoring me in a bathroom. And you know where we're at. We're in Ontario. So you know what the Ontario Police Department are doing. That's a department full of sex offenders. You know what the Ontario International Airport is doing. Alan D. Wapner, a sex offender, also gratified with my genitalia. And I did not consent to that. I didn't say, and it's a violation that you use the operations of a whole airport to pursue me everywhere in the city of Ontario, which is also shown in the evidence, which you'll see where commercial planes have no business hovering. They're not taking off from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 at those elevations. They're not taking off at the location where I'm capturing them from Terminal 2, Terminal 4. And they're also clearly stalking while you see the fake sun over me while they cross path. License 7MBW934, 9MWE266. That's criminal summoning. That's federal prison while the demons are stalking, sounding their sirens. That's why they're going to be shut down as a fire department, as a police department, and as the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. They are being prosecuted as well, while these demons in the city are showing what San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department is acting with knowingly. License 6FLC679. This is federal prison. They're engaged in criminal summoning right now. 7WFC986. And this is what bullies do when they are bullied with the evidence convicting them. They start crying and whining, but they're federal offenses. Using your sirens as audible activity and light activity, those are demons. They're going to be removed from the ambulances that they operate. They're going to be far removed from hospitals where they're murdering people and calling it malpractice and accident and oversight, negligence. License 4FSX510, 8YMX462, surveillance, criminal summoning with the state. Just sitting in the parking lot, engaged in federal stalking, monitoring a woman in the bathroom, being a sex offender. This is what they're doing in California, in the city of Ontario, where, by the way, the sun is stationary over the Pomona Starbucks. Remember that. The significance of sounding sirens under the fake sun where I'm at when I speak, the words that I speak as I speak them, very highly provocative to the demons that are being exposed, okay? And they react by engaging in the elements of monitoring. 8LBN461, 8YKG301. 8ECX990, license plate 8ZDX949, a sex offender of the African American brand, no sister of mine, it's a sex offender. 9LUA720, a sex offender with their foot on the brake, stalking in the path with light. 7DCX433, 33467N3, 8EIP305, 8PMN294. License 9HNM926, 8HCN934, 8MHU932. A pack of demons of the male gender monitoring my genitalia. It's public information amongst a city of sex offenders who are group stalking, and all of their sexual violence is made public on purpose. Sex offenders like to hide that reality by holding a brand new child in their arms. That's a dangerous sex offender. They're a threat to that child as well. But remember, the appearance, especially on social media, what the ordinary family looks like in Ontario, California, or in California, these are violent sex offenders that derive pleasure out of sexually targeting. 6ZLT606, 8YTH933, 8WSD647, 7PGT482, DJ54F68, that's paper. License 9BAU786, a bunch of sex offenders. All of them together, monitoring in the bathroom, monitoring while I'm in Starbucks. Impossible light activity while I open that door of the Starbucks. I take pictures of it as I exit, as they all engage in demons that are salivating at the mouth while I pull my panties down, and they're group stalking while that is ongoing. What is it that you find so interesting in the bathrooms? Because that's where they're group stalking. All right, that's where they're pacing around. And then they're obsessively waiting for me to get in my car. Everything that I'm documenting on my phone, you'll see the fake sun. This is where the entity is sounding sirens. It's called criminal summoning. The West Covina Police Department in West Covina, under the fake sun at 9:24 in the morning, using your lights and vehicles, engaging in a traffic stop, you've just blown the whistle on the whole department. I didn't need your help in doing that, because the entity has already been shown to be a group stalker, but when they engage in that conduct, you're blowing the whistle on the whole department. License 6ZZG914. 8YWL729, I believe, 728, 7PGT482. I already read this overweight Latino male. He's a sex offender engaged in surveillance, just sitting in their car. That's what they're doing, maintaining presence of the path while I walk around. 6N87025. And this is what they were doing, all corporately monitoring what's going on in the bathroom. These are sex offenders as a way of life. They are secretly doing so. But I want to be clear, as you serve Satan, you will understand the depraved conduct that they engage in. And Satan has them convinced that they're deriving some sort of prize from being and engaging in this sort of conduct. It is the great deception. And not only that, Satan is seeking to deceive them to their own permanent demise, where you'll be dragged into hell. But while you're alive, he's making you into fools. You are sex offenders. You are psychopaths. 8TFR807, and mistaking that for gaining some sort of spiritual. You're not gaining anything in the position that you steal in doing so. For example, a job that's paying you $65K a year. Where you're not even qualified to have that based on this matrix that we live in. You've done so while being a sex offender. Is it really worth it? What you're compromising? Integrity, honest, hard work, etc. But again, you have no appreciation for these things while you're literally a blatant sex offender and a stalker. That's what you'll trade for, those types of things. That's what they do in California. License DK15B88, 9EUB266. 7MHC849, 7SBT200, 8LKK246, XBA6ZH. All right, and as you already see, as you are already aware, you've been reminded because I've documented Starbucks' iteration of the P.O.C. for years, okay? You have the Pomona Starbucks where the fake sun is remaining stationary right now, but, yesterday. The natural environment does not consist of, with regard to what's on the record, that the sun is going to be over Ontario as I go to yet another Starbucks. That's not the natural environment. It's not the natural environment for that fake sun to remain stationary over the Starbucks at 3423 Pomona Boulevard either. All right? Hence the P.O.C. License 8TFR807 is crossing path again. And Starbucks is profiting along with everybody else. The Get Some Dim Sum at 1520 Mountain Avenue, the Chocolate Bar, the Ontario Pizza, the Tradicion Geradura. I can't see that whole. Oh, the Tradicion que Perdura, I believe. They're all making money right now. Legacy first. They're profiting while they're group stalking with the demons that are sitting in a parking lot. This is how pathetic the demon possessed are when they're stalking together, and it's absolutely pathetic. It's not real life. It's not a true life existence. While they are committed and obsessed with someone else, 8NDU298 is included. That sex offender was monitoring in the bathroom, been monitoring since I walked out, monitoring while I was taking pictures of the fake son, monitoring everything that I just walked through, and is just now driving off. License 9CTW731. The demons in the drive-thru are crossing path. They were all monitoring in the bathroom as well. You saw that very clearly at the Starbucks in Pomona, where that engineer light was shooting through while they drove by out of the drive-thru. Literally the second that they begin driving with regard to my movements. Right, that's how pathetic the entity is that's group stalking one person. And they are deceived into thinking that they are cool, or that it is something of some sort of accomplishment, while they are group stalking you in the state of California, cutting you off from opportunities that you were otherwise qualified for. Let me get this sex offender license, 6HQY988, because that's what group stalking is. All right. This is, again, being permanently qualified, having all of not only the formal requirements, but within my own skill set. The people of the state were the ones that did not want to hire me as an attorney in California. And now I see why. OK, this is the entity that is engaging in group stalking me. And it has always been my calling to prosecute the state, not work for the state. All right. This is why, while they thought that they were accomplishing something, the Lord God had a greater plan. OK. And so this is just exposing, though, the greater context. These are the people of the state that are obsessively stalking you, and then they're in a position as employer and you go apply for a job. These are the sex offenders monitoring your genitalia, and then you're sitting before them for an interview for a job, and they're the ones that are harassing you on the job if they hire you, or denying you a job that which you're otherwise qualified for. And I'm not stating every job that you apply for you're supposed to get. I'm stating the entities engaged in that method of targeting and harassment against me, group stalking me. All right. This was a prolonged period of harassment and targeting. That was one of the methods at the time. The more that I exposed the entity, the more aggressive the criminal system became, hence stalking in helicopters. OK, and that's Providence, because you have what are going to be disbanded terrorist organizations as a result of what I've documented as a matter of conclusive evidence. All right. We're not going back and forth. We're not going to debate about anything. The entity is stalking and doing so in helicopters. OK, and that progressive conduct that occurred, the more and more that I documented, the more and more desperate and aggressive this criminal system became. And that's an unlawful threat in and of itself. All right. So nonetheless, I'm going to digress off of that. The entity is engaging in a pattern of conduct and doing so at the Starbucks. This is, again, on Mountain Avenue. This is the outright departure. Remember, the entity, this is why you don't stalk under a fake sun, because what you do today, and this is why you will never win being the follower. When you're following the one that's also documenting your methods of following, when you're following under a fake sun that remained over one building in Pomona, California, that's isolating every other location. It is to the exclusion of every other location, meaning while it's remaining, because the natural environment that was yesterday is the natural environment that is today. And so there's no sun that's going to be over the Starbucks in Ontario, California at Mountain Avenue, while it is literally over the top of my head in Pomona at that very address, 3423 Pomona Boulevard. That's not occurring at the same time. That's not the natural environment. And you also know, because common sense dictates, it's also not the natural environment while you stay at one building. What part of science and the natural environment is that? No science teacher of mine or biology teacher, no one has ever, NASA has never uttered any sort of nonsense such as an isolated location of the sun. There's only one, supposedly. And the one that is, again, as the highly publicized arrest in Miami, Florida, before daylight savings time ended at 10:20 in the morning, which would have been 9:20 now. 9:20 a.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun over Tyreek Hill and the Miami-Dade police. Let me be clear. Miami, Florida is far away from California. How is there ever a sun in Miami, Florida if there's only one, and that one sun is remaining over me at Starbucks in Pomona? That is not occurring at the same time. There is no escaping the pattern of conduct that is proven to be the criminal system of group stalking that all these sex offenders are caught up in. It's showing exactly what you're doing, how you do it, and also every other secret. Your mental illness, for one. Your sexual proclivities. You're a predator, for two. And you're also entirely corrupt, as you practice that as an entity. All right, so this is just speaking to the P.O.C. You'll see the fake sign. It's currently 11:28 a.m. Daylight savings time. This is 12:28 p.m. Okay, the entity is engaged in a pattern of conduct where they practice the same conduct to their own demise in Ontario. You're talking about Mr. Leon. He has met again his public removal from office, while the demons that fill the city of Ontario are group stalking on his watch. And guess what? Paul Leon, he's a group stalker as well. He's demon possessed as well. He serves Satan. All right. These demons are not placed in these positions accidentally or ignorantly while this is underway. Satan has all of his minions strategically placed. And while I'm being targeted through demonic means, while I'm being sexually targeted, Paul Leon is directly engaged in that. Paul Leon will not remain as a position of leadership. He can argue, I'm a demon, I'm not a demon, all he wants. You're not staying in that position, sir. Where this terrorism is underway on your watch, you have met the basis of being disqualified as a politician, as a authoritative figure over that city. You're not even doing your job at all. I mean, it's rampant. And by the way, it's for years. The demon before Paul Leon was group stalking as well. Just like the chief of police over the Ontario police, those are demons. Those are sex offenders. Those are gang members. And the one before Mike LORENZ, Derek Williams, same exact condition, same exact criminal system. All right. These demons are grandfathered in. You will not maintain that position. While I'm documenting the lawlessness in Ontario, in California, it's speaking directly to, you know exactly who has lost their job. That's exactly what this evidence is going toward. You know exactly who's lost their job. And it starts with Paul Leon. Yeah, he's lost Alan D. Wapner. This is a demon that's over the president over the Ontario International Airport that is engaged in group stalking 24/7 when I'm in Ontario. Heavy stalking. And the demon that was over the Ontario International Airport before him, the same exact criminal system. I've been documenting stalking by the Ontario International Airport since 2018. So if it was Alan D. Wapner the entire time, that's fine. But if it wasn't, you need to understand that these demons are grandfathered in. They're maintaining the same criminal system. That's not a coincidence. As the prosecution of the state of California goes forth, you are witnessing the public removal of these corrupt government actors while they will no longer sit in these positions. You are witnessing the public removal of those that would like to masquerade as being American citizens. You will not. We will deal with those that are homegrown terrorists, but those that are not even naturally born citizens, you have met the revocation of any so-called citizenship that you were granted. Domestic terrorism, that is the lawful basis to permanently revoke any citizenship, any privilege, by the way, privilege that you were given to be here. It's a privilege. And domestic terrorism, it's the permanent revocation of that. All right. License plate, impossible light while this sex offender drives up. P.O.C. All right. And doing so again on the watch of Paul Leon. This demon Paul Leon knows exactly what's going on amongst the citizens in the state, while he highly esteems them as one thing. And actually he and all of them are another. 9LUA720. That's a sex offender and a stalker. Sunlight is not traveling across the roof of your car while somebody drives up beside you. And it's also not the sun, by the way, while it's over the Starbucks and it's stationary over the Starbucks in Pomona, California, just as one means of illustrating the pattern of conduct. Because the entity kept the fake sun over me in Los Angeles, California, where the LAPD were engaging in this system 24 hours a day, using helicopters at that. 9FLR113. P.O.C. It's currently 11:32 a.m. All right, documenting, again, the corrupt company Starbucks that's fully engaged in domestic terrorism in the U.S., heavily documented group stalker in California. The fake sun is directly over me at 1520 North Mountain Avenue in Ontario, California. This is the Starbucks on Mountain Avenue. This is where the fake sun is located. Group stalking by virtue of the drive-through, by virtue of surveillance by sitting inside and working at the Starbucks. And you can see the signature methods of the impossible light activity, opening and closing the door. The impossible light activity sitting on the floor on the inside of that cafe. While, again, the evidence is sitting the light source is sitting literally over the Pomona Starbucks at 3423 in Pomona, California. This is not the natural environment. This is speaking to the intentional engagement of the methods of surveillance, and this impossible light activity is an integral aspect. The demons are stalking with engineered light. The demons in California are shown to be the actors all on a stage, and I have shown you the lights, camera, action aspect so that you are not mistaking the stage that they are standing on for everyday normal life, while they seek to appear to be engaging in what is everyday normal life, and you are mistaking that. It's nothing but a stage. It's called malice, and they are seeking to murder and kidnap someone very maliciously while they are pacing all around on foot, obsessed with their phones while doing so. You'll pay attention to that a lot. They're staring at their phones while they're standing in the parking lot. They're staring at their phones while they're walking around. They're staring at their phones while they're walking, getting in and out of their cars. They're engaged in federal stalking. They don't have to be staring at their phones, but this is what you will pay attention. You'll notice that a lot while they're staring at their phones. They're all monitoring. They're also engaged in Title 18 federal stalking while they are group stalking together, but they're all on a stage. That's the point of a fake sun remaining stationary over one building all day at the Starbucks. And so just as an illustrative measure, just go to a Starbucks in a different city and you watch that fake sun remain over me, movement necessary in order to do so, where that sun that's moving over me on one day and at the same time stationary over me in an entirely different city for the duration of the day. Okay. I captured the last video at 4:22 p.m. While I was reminding you about where I was at 4:22 p.m. the day before yesterday. I was in Glendale at my UPS store mailbox, where, by the way, the fake sun is over me at that UPS mailbox at 11 o'clock in the morning. That's how you're documenting the pattern of conduct, and it's shown through the specific environment that follows you around, where demons, a population of them in California, are stalking you. And everyone's cover is blown. Everyone. All right. It is currently 11:36 a.m., 1520 North Mountain Avenue, Ontario. Starbucks is a group stalker, which you know that. The entity has a fake sun over the Starbucks in Pomona, California. And that's not the sun that is remaining over me while I go to Ontario. This is in the gateway at Mountain Village Shopping Center, where the Ontario International Airport is crossing path into sky space right now. But it is already known. This is an airport that's not needed. That's what the Ontario International Airport demonstrates, and that's exactly what's going to happen. The Ontario International Airport is a privilege for this corrupt city. It does not need an airport that's devoted to criminal conduct, and so that's exactly what's going to happen. The outright removal of the Ontario International Airport, the necessary disbanding of the demon-infected and corrupt police department that engages in kidnapping and stalking. This is what they spend millions of dollars on. Since you want to waste such resources and not be engaged in law enforcement, that department will not exist. It's as simple as that. Basic arithmetic. Basic arithmetic. You don't want an airport? You will not have an airport. You don't need a police department? You don't need that one. You won't have it. It's gone. Period. None of them are above the law. This is also the bigger, greater message. You're not above the law. You'll be prosecuted under the laws that exist. There will be laws created to handle such criminals and animals like yourselves. And it is also a mission to make an example out of you in this country, because this is not going to be tolerated. It's not going to be tolerated under any circumstances whatsoever. So this is what the Ontario International Airport continues to demonstrate. You don't want an airport? That's fine. That's a lot more money back into the city. All right. And there will be the demons are going to be plucked out of the positions that they hold, where they're literally wasting resources, wasting money. And then at the same time claiming there's not enough resources to help the homeless. There's not enough to house all those that are in need. All of this money that's being wasted on criminal activity, it's a built-in resolution. The deportation of those that are in Ontario that are group stalking with the government, group stalking with a corrupt airport. You got a bunch of terrorists that are employed by a corrupt airport. They're putting everything in its proper perspective, and those that should be suffering from such economical challenges, they're going to be placed in those economic challenges based on they're just being plucked out of positions that they hold. Okay, your time of stealing those positions of employment, those positions of authority, your time is up, and perhaps you're the one that needs to be sitting around looking for a job, can't get hired anywhere based on your criminal record as a terrorist in the United States. You can't find anywhere to live. Nobody wants you living in their neighborhood because you're a convicted sex offender, all right, because of your criminal record. All right, you're the one that should be experiencing that based on what you've actually done, not based on the fact that you've been targeted and you've done nothing wrong. But you're the one that needs to be in those circumstances based on the criminal conduct that you will be convicted of, found guilty of, as a city, as the state, as a corrupt company, as a corrupt department. You fill in the blank. because this is exactly what is awaiting the city of Ontario, the state of California. License 61908G3. Group stalking with the city of Ontario, who's doing donuts over the Gateway shopping center. 61980G3. 243WM handicap. This is a third-party group stalker. She is parking in relevant position right in front of me under the fake sun engineered light as she gets out of her car on the black asphalt. It's not even the sun. That would be over the Pomona Starbucks. While the Ontario International Airport, every single airline is engaged in group stalking, and they're using those commercial airlines. There's so much money that's even included that's wasted while they fill them up with fuel, while they are taking off, literally. People are employed at the Ontario airport to engage in the departure of planes that are used for stalking. All these terrorists, you're going to be unemployed. They're all going to be unemployed. This is their means of employment and making money right now. These planes are taking off to engage in group stalking. They're flying in circles in the sky space where the fake sun is over this shopping center in Ontario. And this demon 6YMK753. These are, if they're not natural born citizens, they're witnessing and listening to the evidence that's going to get them deported back to wherever they came from. If they're not natural born citizens. It is currently 11:41 a.m. Stalking in the path with light under the fake sun. 6 p.m. Z236. Right in front of the Casa Jimenez Upland Ontario Health Clinic. Under the fake sun where the Ontario International Airport is concentrating commercial planes, not taking off from Terminal 2, Terminal 4 at the low elevation where they're flying and then making a U-turn. Those are demons that are pacing. It is currently 11:41 at the Gateway at Mountain Village Center at 1520 North Mountain Avenue in Ontario, California. And this is not anywhere in the shared sky space. That would be in Pomona over the 3423 Pomona Boulevard Starbucks. This is the P.O.C. While I am documenting for prosecution of the state the pattern of conduct. Alrighty, you will see again 9GEZ 562, 6PMZ 236, 7HFN 649, handicap 653VG. Crossing path while I am facing the Upland Ontario Health Clinic. A bunch of group stalkers calling themselves medical professionals. Beware. All right, 9PCA 225, 8NJH 174. This is a federal plate right here on the back of a white van. License it says little G, little 4, little 1, and then A2418. License 7JMK 590. License 9MCE266, license 8XYX070, license 7BYY318, license DP531, that's a handicap plate, 8ZLX238. All right, and the 8XYX, this is a Latina female. As she drives by, she's engaging in her role, creating impossible light activity, riddling inside of my vehicle while that sex offender crosses path. And that's also impunity, terrorism via directed light. It's also a threat to your life while you're subject to that while you're driving a dangerous vehicle, like a dangerous machine like a vehicle. License 8ZVN, I can't really see that plate. You can scratch that one. 8HSV342. However, they're all group stalking together with the Ontario International Airport, with the entire shopping plaza. That's a facilitating venue. All of the businesses inside of the plaza. Remember, it's not just Starbucks. But I'm going to prosecute Starbucks for being a group stalker in the country. And those particular third parties and Starbucks, this particular address of the Starbucks is a sex offender engaged in bathroom monitoring, engaged in what is threatening your life, the preparation of food and drink, while they're acting with regard to the state's conspiracy to murder and kidnap you. Understand everything that's built into the prosecution of the state of California. 7ZGK 373, 9MHK 632, 9CPX 363. 7VEC 513, 32576E1, 7MYJ 170. They're all acting together while a terrorist crosses path and engaging in what is threatening your life and well-being and your safety while you're driving a dangerous machine and impossible light activity that's accosting you inside of the vehicle, which I've shown that on video, the evidence of directed light. And then you're understanding when all of that is being targeted inside of your car. That's what these demons are doing. And this is, again, the impunity. The terrorists and the state of California are unmoved. And the federal government that's going to prosecute this city of sex offenders, the state of sex offenders, the state full of them, are going to be very mindful of the fact that they have a complete disregard for the fact that you don't care about your deportation today. Don't care about it when it's taken away from you and you're subject to deportation when you're prosecuted. Don't cry about it on that day. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Because that's when, again, mentally ill, when they're facing those consequences, that's when the tears come. And nobody's going to feel sorry for you. We will cheer, contrary to them. There will be cheering when you are shipped out of this country. Okay? And while you're group stalking and your mom and dad are subject to deportation, understand you have harmed yourself while you sought to target another person. This is going to precipitate in ways that the entity has not anticipated, and it's going to cleanse the infected population in Ontario, in the state of California. License 9CYB416, 7PSP098. Nothing is going to protect you. There is nothing that's going to protect you from the enforcement measures with regard to the prosecution of the state of California. 9KFC912. License 7BXH032. The traffic on this side street right here, these are demons that are pacing, and the more that I document, the faster that these demons drive. The more that I document, the more concentrated the impossible light activity is. License LK671. These demons are in a frenzy while they monitor the evidence. The federal stalking aspect of the pattern of conduct is built into the prosecution. So everyone knows that not only is the entity a group stalker, the entity is monitoring evidence, the unlawful intrusion of a federal investigator. This is built into the criminal conduct of the state. License 9M CE266, 6XTX039, and it's again 5YZG769. The more that I document, the more that I speak, the more prevalent the group stalking by commercial planes is. Okay, the more planes, the more documented donuts, all right, in the sky space. This is the mental illness of the demons, who are literally, they go mental as I speak to what they engage in, as I speak to the consequences, as I speak to the reality of their demon possession. They go psychotic, and it's demonstrated through the pattern of conduct that they're engaging in. All right, that's a threat. That's going to be translated with regard. Oh yeah, Ontario Police is stalking in the path. Let me get these demons over here. Group stalking with the police, real quick. 1 second. Ontario Police, an entirely illegitimate department. They're group stalking with the people that see all the license plates that I'm documenting. They're group stalking with the Ontario Police. License DL59C25. Impossible light across the curb. All right, while they're driving by in relevant position. This is Abid Hamed Khan, MD. If Abid Hamid Khan, MD, is not a natural born citizen, the demise of this third party that's going to be prosecuted, this is an office that's being maintained by Abid Hamed Khan, who's engaged in criminal activity. The fake sun is over me at this office under the name of Abid Hamid Khan, MD. If this is not a natural born citizen, those of this status, I want to be clear. You are not a legitimate contributor to job making, to the betterment of American society, because you maintain an office with your name on it. As you represent, you are not a representation, a genuine representation of the American dream. You're engaged in anti-American terrorism with corrupt government bodies such as the Ontario Police Department, while the fake sun is over me at your office right now, and while the entity is group stalking me while driving onto your property and walking into your building, like the demon whose license plate I just documented right now. You will be deported. I just want to be clear. Those that are not natural born citizens, I don't care if they are trained, legally trained, medically trained, any one of these corrupt institutions in California or whatever state that they came from, you are going to be deported. Okay, the doctor that's from some foreign country that came here to be a part of the American dream, it does not include domestic terrorism. You're out of this country. There will be no respect of persons with regard to the ways in which federal law is going to be prosecuted. And in California, a lot of people in the position of Abid Hamid Khan, a group stalker right now, the Ontario Police, those inept demons get everybody in trouble. And that's what the state of California is going to learn the hard way. License 9EQM098. Group stalker with the Ontario Police. License 7GKZ055. License 5H56466. License 7NLW247, 9NZP976, 9MAB077. This sex offender, group stalking, crossing path, terrorizing somebody under a fake sun, engineer light moving across the curb. That's something that's going to freak somebody out. The ordinary American citizen is reasonably terrorized by that. And then that sex offender gets out of their vehicle looking to the left and right like nothing happened, causing you to question your own mindset. What just happened, and why is that happening everywhere that I'm going? But I don't know these people. Like, what's going on here? That's a psychological harm that they are doing so with the corrupt airport in Ontario. That's going to be no more. Stalking in the path right now, not helping this demon. License DL59C25. And those that are in that same status are going to be deported if she's not a natural born citizen. She is witnessing the basis of her deportation from this country. The entity is group stalking under a fake sun. It's 11:49 a.m. Let me get an image of that for you. All right, Ontario International Airport is stalking in the path while you'll see at 11:49 a.m. I just took a picture of the fake sun where a group stalker is engaging in surveillance in the parking lot. The sun is remaining over the Pomona Starbucks today. At the same time yesterday. If that's the natural environment, then it wouldn't be over this demon. You know all of the above about what I'm going to say. You know this condition of this person. This is a demon. This is a stalker. And you know that the group stalkers are sex offenders and they're mentally ill psychopaths who persist down a fully exposed and closed off path, meaning it's a dead end, and they continue to go 5,000 miles per hour into that brick wall off of that precipice to their own demise. That's the mentally ill who are group stalking in California. License 8GXM638. They're all group stalking with the Ontario Police. 5TRG437. License 9PEH337. 8NMK210. DE518 handicap. 9DFR289. 7LSB604. 7PVY736. 6SDK138. 9DGV573. These sex offenders were monitoring me, keeping me under surveillance while my panties were down inside of the Starbucks across the street where the fake sun was over the Starbucks moments ago. Now it's advancing as I advance out of conformity with the natural environment, and also another high illustration of the reason why I captured it, the fake sun remaining at one address all day long, 9:52 to 4:22 p.m. It's never going to be over me in Ontario at any location at all, because the entity provided the asinine, poor imitation of a natural environment. A sun remained over one building all day long. 9HYM457. License 8FDF125. 8DBV973. All right, and this is again the dialysis center. Group stalking by traffic. 8H47455. Sex offenders on the roads and the highways. You know what they are. Impossible light activity moving all across surfaces. Those are not human, normal people. These are demons that are stalking while they're on the roads and the highways in vehicles. 7KUJ383. There's no vehicles that are equipped with the ability to shoot light horizontally. This isn't the Jetsons. This is not some arcade. License DCSN537. You need to recognize demon possession, demonic activity for your own protection. They're stalkers and they're sex offenders. DAZV065. 7ESC743. It's P.O.C. They're group stalking with the Ontario Police. I just documented conduct that is worthy of federal prison. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and document right now the address of this 1001 on what is the location of this Hamid Khan, MD. Oh, well, this is a crime scene. All right, you don't have a right to maintain any sort of office, location, business, presence. You don't have the right to be present, because demons like the Ontario Police are engaging in surveillance. And as you help that government, as you help in any capacity, it is federal prison. Impossible light activity while an army of demons are walking on the sidewalk. Those are demons that are pacing while the demons are driving in traffic, and impossible light is moving across a vehicle in my face. Okay, Abid Hamid Khan is being documented. And anybody working for this office is group stalking. They're engaged in federal stalking. You know all of the criminal conduct that they're engaging in while the crime scene is established, while the criminal activity is happening on the property and all around the property, in the sky space above the property, and all around in relevant position, which is the demons of the Ontario Police, Mike Lorenz, and everybody employed by the Ontario Police. You are witnessing the public demise of a demon-infected department representing the corrupt government in California. It's currently 11:54 a.m. Monitoring on my communication device, monitoring, that is again federal stalking in violation of Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2, while they're engaged in criminal surveillance. Okay, the Fourth Amendment, among many others, inherently violated as a means of the exercise of fictitious authority by the state that's practicing group stalking. And group stalking is demonic. And group stalking is done with the population itself. Those who will submit to an arrest if it is accomplishing group stalking by the targeted individual. I have witnessed it. They're group stalking in the courts. They're group stalking at the police stations. They're group stalking while they're engaged in criminal summoning a traffic stop. They will submit to these things while they're group stalking the target individual. These are ones that are together in the spirit. These are demons. And in the natural, they are outwardly and intentionally appearing to have different interests, conflicting interests, competing interests. Police versus the person that presumably, would not want to be pulled over. This is not the case when the system of group stalking is underway. Understand the malice there. License. Excuse me, not license. Let me get this address. 1001 West 6th Street. Suite A and Suite B. Group stalking. And the license plate that I already documented is group stalking. They're now crossing path. License 5TRG437 is creating activity. This is a Latina female with bleach blonde streaks in her hair. She's group stalking. If she's not a natural born American citizen, she's out of this country. Okay, her moving her car in the parking lot is a method of engaging in the elements of monitoring, while the obsessive system of group stalking is underway by a population full of demons who are so obsessed they can't, for their own benefit, cease to engage in. That's how deceived they are by Satan. Okay, but this system, by providence of that ongoing obsession, it is plucking out all of those demons that have no business in the positions that they currently hold. It is exposing those who are posing a threat to you wherever you're at, while you're witnessing what the Lord Jesus is doing in the state of California, what he's doing at this time in the world right now. Okay, I am merely in California. This is a greater message, and it's above and beyond me. He's making a big statement right now. He is judging. He's judging right now. He is telling the secrets of those who serve Satan. He's telling of all of Satan's devices, all of Satan's minions, putting them on the stage that they want to be in. You want to be on a stage? You want to act? You want to target somebody? You want to engage in the public demise of another? You're witnessing your own public demise. And all of your secrets are necessarily exposed in doing so. And you're going to serve the penalties in the natural. And you will also suffer eternal judgment if you do not repent. That's what the Lord Jesus, amongst many other things, is speaking right now. And it could not be louder. You are going to be subject to things as extreme as deportation. You know why? Because you sought to engage in the most extreme consequence. You thought you were going to murder someone, have them living as a vegetable in an asylum somewhere, in a ward somewhere, where you can maintain employment, so you can diagnose, prescribe medication to somebody that doesn't even need it. This is how they stay employed. People that do not have mental illnesses are being kidnapped right now, so that demons can maintain a means of employment. Maintaining patience when they themselves are actually in need of that which they diagnose. That's what they prescribe. This is the reality. That's malice. That is in violation of federal laws, an abundance of them. All right, so I just want to be clear. Ontario Dialysis Center, and this is also the Abid Hamid Khan, MD. It looks like, engaged in dialysis, hypertension. This can easily be replaced by somebody else that's not engaged in group stalking. And the fact that of group stalking underway is by the maintenance of the specific environment, the intentional engagement in that by virtue of not only the fakes on being over me, but the group stalking that's occurring in the parking lot, on the street, outside of the parking lot, maintaining the elements of monitoring over the property. The Ontario International Airport is flying over. The Ontario Police Department is stalking in the path with light activity, sounding sirens. You heard that while I was walking around outside. This medical office is engaged in the criminal pattern of conduct. There's no protection. You're talking about a grand sweeping of justice through the city. All right, Southwest Airlines is group stalking. You're not taking off from Terminal 2 from this location. They're doing so under the fake sun. Let me capture that for you. And what you will see is Southwest Airlines blowing the whistle on the entire Ontario International Airport, while the same sex offender is engaged in surveillance in the parking lot. DL59C25, a paper plate on a white Nissan. This appears to be an Asian female. Those that are in that, I surmise if this is, she very well could be a natural born citizen, but if she is not, she's going to be deported. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. If you are not a natural born citizen, you are out of this country. You're out of the state. You're out of this country. All right. And the likes of you that likes to cooperate with a corrupt government in order to murder and kidnap other people so that you can steal positions that you are perhaps not qualified for, that you think you're stealing, usurping from another in concert with the government. This is why they're picking out people to group stalk. you're going to be removed altogether. I'm going to capture the group stalking by the Ontario Police. Pay attention to the fake sun over me. It's 12 p.m. All right, license plate GDLJALC. Stalking in the path with light activity criminal facilitation, and also group stalking with the youth at the high school on Euclid Avenue. Stalking in the path, and their group stalking engaged in federal stalking with the high schoolers, which again, it's a means of technology. All the teenagers equipped with communication devices are engaged in the pattern of conduct in California. They're group stalking with light activity, and doing so threatening my life by interfering with my I'm driving down the street, and while I'm at an accelerated speed, it's a threat to me, first of all, because you're group stalking, but also getting in front of me, which you're not mistakenly, you're intentionally doing so in order to monitor me. So for a criminal purpose, you're getting in front of me, and it's alerting me, but with regard to having to stomp on my brakes because this person is acting in an unsafe manner, jumping right in front of me while I'm accelerating, just so that they can stalk in the path with light activity. While there, again, that's an illustration of obsession, not only posing a threat literally by the unsafe driving methods, but also because you're group stalking while driving. And this is the obsessive endeavor to maintain elements. That's not a legitimate car accident, by the way. That's a murder. That's a severe and intentional engagement effort to harm someone. That qualifies as an attempted murder. If you break down the elements of attempted murder, okay? Ontario Police is group stalking with this is sad, 9CWJ153, Federal Prison, 6YGW653, 9AQP616. They're doing so while the fake sun is remaining stationed over the Starbucks, while they're listening to me convict them for what are efforts at attempted murder. While they have car accidents in Ontario, they're not legitimate accidents. They know what I'm doing inside of an apartment building when no one is in that apartment with me. They also know what's going on when you're in your car and they have a car collision. It's called a method of insurance. It's called the ongoing criminal conduct by demons who are killing each other, and they also kill targeted individuals through the means of dangerous machines such as vehicles on the roads and the highways. There are so many ways you're going to use the exposure of this system by demons, where they extort money, essentially, from insurance agencies, claiming fires under a fake sun. They're robbing the federal government of money, by the way, claiming these so-called natural disasters. There is nothing natural about a fire caused by the fake sun. Satan is using demons who are profiting off of this malicious system. And it's a method of insurance fraud, by the way, where they steal money and they're murdering people. They're sacrificing people through car accidents. All right, sacrificing each other through car accidents, and these demons intentionally do so. I just want to point that out. And while Ontario Police cross path right now and documenting on podcast, everybody is going to federal prison for that. Vehicle 1024. All right. And this is, again, Mike Lorenz and all the rest of them. Derek Williams is going to be prosecuted for the criminal engagement and group stalking. And while the Ontario Police are at every intersection while I'm crossing path, they don't even want, this is, again, they're demonstrating they don't want to remain as a police department. That's fine. That's fine. You're talking about mental illness. Serious. Who are you hurting? You're hurting yourself and these demons that are group stalking with you. Federal prison, group stalking with the police. License 6X58529. P.O.C. Ontario Police group stalking at every intersection. Let me get this demon behind me, because this is federal prison. The documentation on podcast and the documentation on video and in images. Putting people in federal prison. License 8RBH004 and license 6NLG685. That's a female driving a van. She's going to federal prison. Impossible light activity moving across the top of these storefronts while she's group stalking in concert with the demons who are Ontario Police engaging in surveillance, driving around in the streets and the highways, listening to me expose them via podcast. She's going to federal prison. Repeat this, 6NLG 685. She's going to pick up her kids wherever it is that she's going. She's a threat to those kids while she's gang stalking another woman, acting in the conspiracy to murder and kidnap an innocent American citizen. Yes, you're doing so while you act with impunity, monitoring the evidence that belongs to the federal government, engaged in Title 18 federal stalking with a bunch of sex offenders bearing badges who are stalking as a whole department in the city of Ontario. Because those mentally ill sex offenders cannot control themselves. Understand how Satan is operating over them. And the Lord Jesus is using it to remove the whole department from existence. They're acting in conformity to the Lord God's will. They are not going to exist as a department. They're over. It's over. Mike Lorenz is fired. You're witnessing the public removal of a sex offender, a demon that has been strategically placed over a corrupt department. That's why you engage in that conduct, and they think that they're in control of some. You're not controlling anything. The world is witnessing your public removal, your open shame. That's what they're witnessing. The Ontario Police Department is fired. And I cannot stress that enough. You're witnessing the disbanding of a corrupt department, and they are full of sex offenders. They engage in the conduct, the sexual violence that's built into the pattern of conduct. They're stalking me in bathrooms. They're obsessed with my genitalia. They are engaging in the sexually predatory methods of group stalking someone, and they like to do so in manners that are sexually perverted. And they are wearing badges during the day and bearing weapons while they're stalking, masquerading as a law enforcement agency, and they're getting everybody else in trouble who's group stalking right along with them. You're going to federal prison for group stalking in California with a corrupt police department that wants to murder you. That's why they're stalking you as a police department. No, Mike Lorenz does not have a job anymore. You're witnessing the public removal. And in concert with the demon that he works closely with, Paul Leon, he's not remaining as a mayor over this demon-infected city. He's not going to be a mayor over anything. Okay, the entity is keeping a fake sun, and the police are stalking from city to city, from corner to corner. That is the textbook method of psychological torture and harassment. OPARC, demons that are driving around senior citizens, 08812C4, while they drive out of the parking lot, impossible light activity moving across the asphalt. I've been documenting OPARC. Demons that are driving around the senior citizens who are group stalking in Ontario, by the way. They're all group stalking. I just want to point that out. But the Ontario Police Department, they're walking in conformity to the will, which is that they be disbanded. And that's exactly what's coming. That's exactly you're witnessing the formal process of it. The group stalkers of the City of Ontario, 1493746, engaging in the pattern of conduct, just driving by in the parking lot while engineer light moves across the wall. 1681882, the City of Ontario, the municipality engaging in surveillance. Let me show you the fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library and not over the Pomona Starbucks in Pomona, California. Alrighty, you're looking at a municipality engaging in surveillance, all right? And group stalking with his demon-possessed co-conspirator who drove right by and engineer light dragged across the Ovid Family Community Library. The Ovid Family Community Library is a state facilitating venue. This is the City of Ontario that's group stalking. The City of Ontario is also group stalking on the roads and the highways using their vehicles. The City of Ontario is pouring out, wasting millions and millions of dollars on criminal surveillance with the corrupt police department. With the demon-infected, the corrupt population who was group stalking and engaging in federal stalking. This is the same Ovid Family Community Library that's nowhere near the Starbucks in Pomona, California. And you can see the fake sun hovering right over the edge of the library. 7KAB 460, 5EUN 773. Demons who are patrolling, crossing path. All right, those that are going to be systematically rooted out by their deportation upon conviction for domestic terrorism in Ontario, in California, with a corrupt government body. Okay, the entity is with regard to the documentation, they're engaged in simultaneously the federal offense of federal stalking. All right, that's a serious federal offense. The municipality is engaged in federal stalking. Not just the people in the city, but the government itself is going to be prosecuted. The City of Ontario is engaged in federal stalking. The City of Ontario is engaged in the unlawful interference with a federal investigation. Every level of government is engaged in this exposure of public corruption. And this is where the fake sun, by the way, the Ovid Family Community Library, I captured the quote unquote sunset at the same Ovid Family Community Library. This is why you document. Okay, and this is showing, again, the shameful evidence of a municipality that is indeed group stalking. And you'll see it as I captured a fake sun over the library where I'm here at the end of the day, daylight savings time or not. There is no reconciling that evidence of a scientific impossibility. And you learn a lot just from a picture. That's a demon representing the municipality engaging in criminal conduct of an appalling nature. Surveillance, and you're able to identify it through that specific environment, and it's representing the government. The city itself is group stalking. The city itself is practicing demonic activity, and the city itself is witnessing the massive return to sender, which is the prosecution of the state of California and the disbanding of the Ontario police, the removal of the demon that's calling himself a mayor, the removal of all of those demons that are on that government body, the Ontario City Council, which are filled with, it's full of demons who are serving Satan while group stalking and also referring to themselves not as demons correctly. And honestly, they're referring to themselves as council members in a corrupt city. All right, and their time is up. Okay, this is what you're learning from the images that I just captured, and just look at what happened 24 hours ago. This is P.O.C. What I documented right now, the license plate is 1214. What I'm documenting immediately with regard to stalking with the police, I am documenting the people of the state that are in my zone, immediately in my vision, in my line, because the entire city is group stalking with the Ontario police. However, federal prison are for all of those that are right where you're seeing the police. This is the tactic of psychological torture. They're stalking you as a whole department. So every corner that you're driving by, they're crossing path. The fake sun is remaining over you. This is exactly front page material on the YouTube channel that's prosecuting and also exposing the methods of group stalking, federal group stalking and monitoring. What the Ontario Police Department, that's going to be disbanded, engages in, and has been engaged in for years while they were kidnapping me, because they knew what I was documenting. It was a method of criminal obstruction of justice. Making up, by the way, showing you the tactics, they'll just make up criminal charges. They'll just make up information regarding so-called mental illness, and they have the ability to make it up while they are in those positions of authority to do so. This is exposing San Bernardino County and everybody that works for San Bernardino County. This is exposing that call themselves so-called mental health professionals. These are lying demons who manufacture information to substantiate a kidnapping. Upon criminal defamation, everybody that's been engaged in that, which is a part of the record, they're all going to federal prison. The so-called psychiatrists that claim that they had any interview with me that was pursuant to a kidnapping, they're a part of that kidnapping. The conversation is a criminal act. The making up of a conversation, they'll say that they spoke with the target individual. No such thing ever happened. While you're sitting there kidnapped and they're sitting in front of you trying to make you talk to them, that's criminal conduct. That's also monitoring. They're monitoring while they are trying to engage in what is manufacturing a relationship with you that is built on the criminal engagement of the fictitious exercise of authority. It will never convert into what is a lawful imprisonment. It starts with kidnapping. It's before the kidnapping. It starts with group stalking. They are group stalking in the facilities, and then those group stalkers are trying to manufacture a relationship so that they can create on paper libel, criminal defamation. It's an ongoing admission to engaging in group stalking. You're going to federal prison. Everybody that had anything to do with it, they're all going to federal prison, and there is no statute of limitations on that. That's how you're going to use their abuse of power, their abuse of their positions, to put all those demons away. Where they thought they were going to sacrifice someone, and to the contrary, it's creating an abundance of documentation that is literally supporting they've sacrificed their own freedom because they're going to federal prison. They'll have nothing to do with the medical field. They'll have nothing to do with the legal field. They'll have nothing to do with law enforcement. They'll have nothing to do with any sort of government body. You will be barred from running from office. Nobody like you has any sort the moral turpitude. Are you kidding me? Everyone's going to know what you are, and you're not running for office anywhere. I don't care if there's a convicted, a federal conviction on the head of the current president. You're not running for office anywhere. Okay. The entity is engaging in a pattern of conduct, and I'm just giving you a real life example based on what I documented. This is how they're targeting American citizens. And while they are to date still group stalking, they are walking in conformity to the will of the Lord God, that you cease to exist as a government leader, as a police department, as an airport in the city. You cease to exist as an operating municipality. You will all be replaced. That's why you act with such foolishness. You're not in control of anything. You will be openly shamed, and you will be uprooted and replaced. It's as simple as that. It's currently 12:18 p.m. The entity has a fake sun over the Ovid Family Community Library where I've documented the so-called sunset. That is literally incongruent with nature, and it's an impossible occurrence that you could have that at the same address. Yet, that's what the record shows. It is the direct evidence of federal group stalking and monitoring by the municipality and everyone living in that city. It's speaking to every level of government in operation in that city. It's pointing directly to those that are in positions of leadership in that city. All right, it is currently 12:19 p.m. and be mindful of the fact there is a whole light source remaining over my head in Pomona, California yesterday. While the entity continuously engages in group stalking, and everybody knows what's going on as I continuously document. There are no mysteries here, and you are engaging in an ongoing perpetual admission for group stalking. And while they do so, it's exposing mental illness. It's exhibiting obsession. Okay, when you have lost that endeavor and you continue it, that's how, this is what I've been speaking. I'm sorry, I'm pouring ice. Let me stop that. While you are speaking to, while I'm exposing what is stalking. Remember, stalking is born of obsession. So you're still stalking. Everybody knows that you're stalking. and you're still stalking in an open manner like the city of Ontario is, that's speaking to what I have been exposing and narrating for a prolonged period. It just takes a matter of time. It's a matter of time in order for you to be able to see and witness by yourself. The evidence speaks for itself, exhibiting obsession. And that's what they sought to hide the entire time. And now the whole world could witness the obsession of a city that is stalking when everyone knows now openly that you are indeed stalking. And the mental illness that's included, necessarily included, to engage in stalking in that manner. Everyone can see the mental illness of that entity, which bears no reflection of the mind state, the mental health of that targeted individual, that tragic injustice by the ones, that tragic injustice that results from targeting by a corrupt government body, by a corrupt population. And now everyone can see that mental illness that entity suffers from when you're clearly stalking and everyone knows that you're stalking. All I'm doing is documenting. You already know that they're stalking. I'm pointing out what's the method, because you already know that they're group stalking. There's no sun that's remaining over Ontario while I'm in Pomona at the same time. The fake sun remained from 9:52 to 4:22 p.m. There's no sun over the Ovid Family Community Library. There's no sun over the Ovid Family Community Library when I'm here, and there's a sunset at the Ovid Family Community Library. All right. Impossible light above my head while the sex offender 8EHG 886 reverses out. Okay. This is an aged female. All right. A leather-faced, demon-possessed group stalker, obsessed with my genitalia, moving her vehicle in the parking lot in order to engage in the elements of monitoring. It's not sunlight, and it's also not even the sun. That's the purpose of engaging in that activity creation in that specific environment where a whole population can engage in and practice that. Pacing by way of driving out of the parking spot and driving in. License 8MJC 624. Group stalking by virtue of pacing. That's pacing. Those are demons that are acting together. And the demons demonstrate their ongoing obsession with the one who has prosecuted them successfully. They're obsessed with my genitalia. They're stalking in the bathrooms like I've been documenting for years. All right. And not only is the population exhibiting that ongoing sexually perverted means of stalking somebody, they stalk in bathrooms, they stalk where you live, they stalk where you work, they stalk with regard to everywhere that you're going. And they do so with knowledge of the fact that you're also documenting it. And why? Because the entity were so deceived that they thought that they were actually going to get away with sacrificing me. That speaks to obsession. That speaks to an unlawful and inhumane level of devotion to a criminal purpose. Even if I were not the ordinary targeted, even if I were the ordinary targeted individual, I'm speaking as a prosecutor now, even the ordinary targeted individual is not, has a right to not be subject to that sort of lethal type of targeting. You're so convinced because there's so many of them. This is why the demons, because of numerosity, okay, because of the demons that are ready, they're in position to facilitate the criminal act perpetrated by the entity. I mean the police, the sheriff, and the court. That's what I mean by that. When they knock you off, that's why that lethal level of being so convinced that you're going to get away with it in the face of evidence. That's what the documentation from 2018 to and ongoing to the present demonstrates. The ordinary target individual has a right to not be subject to that. That's inhumane. When you capture one picture, when you become aware, when you're alerted, documentation on day one, the government is supposed to back up. They have no business keeping you under surveillance in the first place. Now, contrary to what California did, all the rest of the world, whatever government body that thinks that they're getting away with this, on documentation on day one, I suggest you have a seat. Because it's exposing everybody at all levels of government. Unless you want that type of exposure of your specific name, I suggest you cease, because the city of Ontario, the state of California, in other words, is witnessing a full comprehensive exposure of all of the ways in which group stalking is underway in this state, because it refused to cease to engage in what was known on day one. And they were so convinced that they were going to murder me because I'm not supposed to be alive, telling all of their secrets. They did not plan for this. And that's also why you see a very foolish, continuous endeavor in what was they lost a long time ago. But I don't know anything. I don't know much about witchcraft. I don't serve Satan. I expose Satan. So they have perhaps engaged in sacrifices that they cannot renege on. So you're talking about you're being forced to continue based on a contract you made with Satan, perhaps, and you have to continue marching as full force and as fast as you can towards your own demise because of some contract that you already made with Satan. So you know that a prosecution is coming, but based on some contract that you made with the enemy, The enemy who loses, the enemy who knew that he was going to lose, by the way. This is why it does not serve you. It does not serve you well to serve Satan. You're witnessing what was the ongoing trap laid for the enemy. It was laid out for me, but they will be caught up in their own snare. This is scripture. This is scripture. Okay, if you know the word of God, it's very prophetic. You can anticipate what's going to happen to the enemy if they had any wherewithal whatsoever. They are walking toward, they don't have any choice with regard to the spiritual contracts that they made with the enemy. But under law, that's not any American citizen's concern. Because what you're going to learn legally with regard to everything that you are sacrificing while you're keeping an American citizen under surveillance. This is requiring what? At the outset, be careful who you make agreements with. Be careful who you make agreements with. Because the entity that's engaged in an ongoing conspiracy, your co-conspirators, are committed to that which is towards your demise and everybody else's demise, because the entire state is criminally engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. And what your demon-possessed neighbor is engaging in, you are engaging in. You're all in the same specific environment. You all together thought and were convinced that you were going to get away with it. And now you see very clearly what is your oncoming demise. It is inevitable. You're literally waiting for the day that the feds are going to raid you. Any day now, by the way. Any day now. You're awaiting a raid, one of the many consequences that you're anticipating. And yet you continue, and everyone sees your mental illness as you continuously do so. No sane person would engage in that. But this is based on, again, the minions that have devoted themselves to Satan. They've sold out to the enemy. They've sold out to the enemy. The enemy never wins, by the way. So for those of you that are witnessing this, it does not pay well. Satan does not pay well. He's a liar and he hates you. He sets you up and then he laughs at you as you lose. Going against the Lord God Almighty, nobody can stand against him. No one can contend with him, nor his children. You will never win that bet. You'll never win that bet. And you are witnessing the tragic fall of the state of California, the grand return to sender, which is the prosecution of the state of California that is serving Satan and exposing massive public corruption throughout the state of California for what they've been doing. I'm not the first one. All of these grand resources that are being expended to group stalk little old me, I'm not the first person that they've engaged in this toward. They've been doing this, and this is, again, the governor is aware of it. The commissioner over the California Department of Highway, of the California Highway Patrol is aware of it. They're aware of what these demons are doing in California, spending all this money, using their resources while they are masquerading as being a part of their job. No, it's not your job to engage in the malicious targeting of an American citizen. The chief of police know what the departments are engaging in. The chief of police is engaging in it. I'm speaking to what is an inevitable method of removing those corrupt actors. That's what I'm speaking to. You know exactly what those departments are engaging. You're engaging in it and you're facilitating it. There's not going to be a debate. Oh, I didn't know. And I'm not responsible. Yes, you are responsible, because you want to claim all of the measures of accountability when it's so-called success. You will also, in the same way, assume responsibility for this level of criminal conduct, public corruption that's happening on your watch. This is beyond dereliction of duty. You're fully engaged in the P.O.C. Remember, this is a specific and very unique pattern of conduct. It's demonic. This is requiring those that are of that condition for it to happen. The entity removes those that will not cooperate with this satanic measure, with this satanic system. It requires an ongoing facilitation of this system for it to exist, for it to thrive, for it to continue. All right, for it to be allotted the resources needed to continue to provide the money to fuel up those planes and those helicopters and keep those demons using all the vehicles for that business, for that municipality. All right, for that department to have the money it needs to maintain 24-hour surveillance, group stalking. All right, forgive me, I'm pouring my ice into my cup. All right, the entity is fully engaged in that pattern of conduct, and it's so specific, it's so unique what the entity is doing. It requires that. But we don't have to even speak about, this is this greater context. The world, you're witnessing this podcast and the YouTube channel. This is speaking to what is a pattern of conduct that the entity is engaging in, and it's demonic. With regard to the prosecution of the state of California, the evidence is speaking to that which is highly peculiar, that which is speaking to malice. Malice, which is intended to falsely depict that targeted individual that's subject to it, falsely depict that targeted individual when you're pointing out this creepy, weird behavior that nobody actually has the evidence to prove. That's supposed to be the evidence that's establishing some mental illness of that ordinary targeted individual. That's malice. And it's exposing the entity's mental health, the entity's criminal endeavor to maliciously target someone. That's malice. And you go to federal prison for that while you abuse your position in government with the government itself. Government actors such as the county who's claiming some sort of diagnosis, putting it on paper, putting it on the record is libel. All right. It's libelous conduct. It's criminal defamation designed to result in the kidnapping of an American citizen. All of this is built in on the record while they abuse their positions that they have. It's trickling into the courts. Everybody that had anything to do with it, they're all going to federal prison. Every single last one of them are going to federal prison. And they are the example of exactly what's going to be removed from the medical field. It is speaking to and answering to the ethical issues that reside within these fields, the respective fields. It's speaking to what has to change now nationally because of what the government is now capable of engaging in. The level that we are no longer able to trust the states to maintain the ability to decide of its own, since the states can't be trusted to be actually acting in the benefit of the public to keep someone against their will. No, the government can't be trusted like that anymore because California is engaged in group stalking and using that exercise of authority under the law, such as Welfare and Institutions Code Section 5150. Section 51 and 50, the entities engaging in this abuse of this, first of all, they're group stalking. So you're exercising fictitious authority. Second of all, while you're referencing law that you do not have authority under, you are exercising fictitious authority and claiming under the law that you are going to keep someone against their will under the language of that law, which you have no right to do so because you're a criminal masquerading as an authoritative figure to engage in under that particular section of the law, keeping someone against their will. Understand the malice in that. It's a means, because it's unlawful, it's a kidnapping. You're going to call it exactly what it is. Any other person that's snatching a body off the street into a dark tinted van and driving them somewhere that they have not consented to go, it's a kidnapping. It's a kidnapping while the government exercises fictitious authority under the law, while they're engaging in group stalking and doing it under the guise of, oh, this is the area of law that we are keeping this person under, in our care. Care is a term of art. Okay, they're kidnapping them and keeping them subject to the pattern of conduct and calling it what is the benefit of the public because of the mental health that they suspect. And they're using the courts. Let me be clear. The court knows exactly what it's cooperating with. It's malice. The court is signing off on a kidnapping. And every act that the entity is engaged in, what am I speaking to right now? I'm speaking to the kidnapping that goes from the police to the sheriff or to the fire department or to the ambulance to the courthouse. All of the hands that the target individual, they're exchanging hands while they're engaging in ongoing kidnapping. Everybody that has anything to do with that is going to federal prison. They're engaging in a kidnapping through the government. That's group stalking. And you're not going to claim, oh, I didn't know that the police were group stalking. You're going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison. You don't have an ongoing engagement in what is, you have the police that are group stalking you. They know what's going on with these helicopters. They know that they're expending money stalking. You're using those police vehicles. It takes money to put gas in those police vehicles. All right. They're recording their presence at a particular address for whatever reason. They are lying on paper when what they're doing is group stalking. And the entity is maliciously engaged and they're wasting resources as a police department while they're stalking. All right. And they're doing so with the population. You already know what the people of the state, those are the demons that are group stalking. So you are and everybody knows you're at a group stalker's home. You're group stalking with that established group stalker. Everybody in Ontario is shown to be group stalking. So when you're engaging in a traffic stop, everybody knows that it's criminal summoning. The demons have, to their own demise, blown the whistle on themselves. So you no longer look like you're doing your job when you're pulling over an established group stalker, the people of the state in Ontario. You're also an established group stalker because there's a body of evidence, hundreds and hundreds of videos showing the Ontario police stalking. Because you use what is under the guise of a police department to engage in stalking, that police department shall be no more. But you're understanding the bigger picture. That department is engaging in a kidnapping. The sheriff is not ignorant about what it is taking and housing in its facilities, especially while they're group stalking inside of those facilities. They're not ignorantly and just coincidentally trying and desperately trying to defame a legally trained professional like myself. I'm a lawyer. I know the law. I know how long you're supposed to house me. Even if you were ignorant and taking me and putting me in jail, even if you were ignorantly doing that, then they themselves would have acted in conformity to the laws that exist. But they didn't do that. You know why? It's not because it's not an ongoing accident. It's not an ongoing perpetual oversight of the laws. This is how they're kidnapping. They're kidnapping you. And when they're doing it to somebody like myself, I know the law. I can articulate the law. I can argue on my own behalf. Do you know why they want to keep me, dress me up? Just because you put me in the jail, just because you place me in the ward, just because you put me in the uniform, it will never equal mental illness. This is what they sought to do. And they thought that that was going to silence me. They thought that was going to work. It will never work. It doesn't matter what clothes you put on me. It will not equal mental illness. It will not equal a legitimate kidnapping off the streets. It will not erase the documentation of group stalking before you unlawfully took me into custody, making up the information in order to do so. This is, again, it's requiring abuse of power. That ongoing changing of hands, while they just so happen to be engaging in violating very plain laws, when you're supposed to have an arraignment, when you're engaging in an arrest, when you're supposed to release, if you don't have that arraignment, a timely arraignment, when you're making up the names of a district attorney, this person is not even published as a name on the California bar site. Who is this so-called DA? Who are they? They don't exist. You're making up names. It's not even a real case on the books. It's not even real. And then you have the entity that's still engaging and they'll just keep you in there. There's already been an arraignment. Never mind the fact that the time for prosecuting a misdemeanor has already expired and you're still claiming a warrant under that expired. You don't even have, while you have no authority under the law, you don't even have an existing case. It was never even a real district attorney on it. In addition, the time that has been allotted under the laws that you defy while you're kidnapping, and you're kidnapping somebody who is legally trained, who knows the law. Do you know what is revealed by doing something that's so foolish? The reason why they do something so foolish against somebody that knows the law is because the person that knows the law is never supposed to have a voice. Okay, they put you in that uniform because that's supposed to be the muzzle. No one's ever going to hear you. That is showing you they've been doing this for a very long time. They have gotten so deceived with regard to what power that they have, that they think that they'll get away with it. That's why you have years and years of evidence of stalking by police departments and kidnapping by those same police departments and kidnapping by those courts and that sheriff's department. That's where you get that. Because why would you be so foolish to kidnap somebody that can literally speak to the laws that you're violating? Why would you do that? That is very foolish. If you're trying to get away with the kidnapping, you might not want to kidnap somebody that knows the law. But why do you do that? Because you don't have an ongoing series of oversights of the laws and the procedures that government, how that court is supposed to work. The court that just disregards, doesn't want to let you speak in court when you can clearly articulate how it was an illegal arrest. They're never at any point speaking to the non-existence of a system that requires cooperation. They don't want to hear about how the police attacked you, and the DA is not hearing that either. They don't want to hear about how the police attacked you and they are not zealously representing your interests. The reason why I experience this is so that I can speak. First, I want to be clear. Being literally at the forefront. Okay, this is I'm searching for the terms in order so that I can effectively articulate what it is that I've witnessed up close and personal while I'm standing literally looking at these demons acting as a system, a well-oiled machine. Okay, and it requires all of them together to violate very basic rules and policies that exist for the protections of American citizens. And I watched them. While I was subject to it, I watched them engage in the intentional oversight, the intentional negligence The intentional disregard of such policies that are there for the very protections. That's not an accident. Legally, it's a criminal facilitating agenda. And it's engagement in kidnapping. The system is kidnapping you. You're talking about what would have been if there were not a system in place. Then you're talking about, first of all, the fake sun wouldn't be over that courthouse. It wouldn't be over that police department, et cetera, et cetera. Aside from the specific environment, you're talking about at any point, and me being, I am upfront with regard to, because you're kidnapping me, you're going to federal prison. But you're talking about what would have been a line in the sand, okay? The police are kidnapping, but the sheriff's department, they released me, when I didn't get a timely arraignment, even though they don't have any authority under the law. That all of that, the minutia within that can be prosecuted. But what I experienced is what I witnessed and what I documented, and the Lord God have permitted it to happen to me so that I can speak firsthand about how this corrupt system operates. And you're going to remove every aspect of that system. You're not accidentally, upon being kidnapped by a corrupt department. That's group stalking. You're necessarily group stalking and facilitating group stalking on the streets with the police department while you are housed in that facility, and they're active. First of all, they're group stalking in the facilities. I mean, fake sun, engineer light, stalking with activity creation that's amplified through concrete and heavy steel. No, those are not paper thin walls inside of the jail. No, you're not hearing someone relieving themselves through the cells that are on the first floor. They would like to make everything is echoic. You can hear the helicopter activity while they're stalking, engaging in psychological torture. All right, the entity's keeping engineer light across the walls that are very high walls in these facilities. Engineer light. That is going down across the floor and up the opposite wall that remains there for the duration of the day. What am I describing? Satan owns these sheriff's departments and all these facilities. Satan owns them. Satan owns all of them. Okay, I haven't been inside of all of them, but what I'm speaking to, this is demonstrating what is wrong with the entire state. And the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department is owned by Satan. These demons are calling themselves deputies. They're not only are they gang stalking, which is speaking to, yeah, you're fully engaged in the P.O.C, but they are doing so literally, it's also demonstrated through the intentional oversight of the laws, the policies that govern how these departments are supposed to work. None of them are acting in conformity. If you're not getting your arraignment, a timely arraignment, why are you still sitting in the jail? This is not an accident when you've been kidnapped by the entity that's group stalking you on the streets every day. You're not getting a timely arraignment, and then when you tell, which you should tell, the DA that's supposed to be zealously representing your interests, this is a group stalker. And they're doing their job by not zealously representing your interest. That's upon facts of group stalking. That is the intentional engagement and criminal facilitation, and you'll go to federal prison for that. I'm not just going to argue about your permanent your permanent removal of the ability to practice law being disbarred permanently in California. That's federal prison. You're engaging in criminal activity that is intended to result in the kidnapping of an American citizen. And they're kidnapping you. You're subject to being murdered while you're subject to group stalking inside of these facilities. That's an unlawful threat. No. You're not just going to lose your bar license. You're going to federal prison. That's how they're facilitating a kidnapping. It's not merely incompetence. It's intentional. All right, the entity is doing so with regard to a pattern of conduct. The reason why they don't want to hear, it's not just being overworked and underpaid by the DA. No. These are demons, and they're in strategic placements with regard to this corrupt system to facilitate the kidnapping, from the police to the sheriff's department to the courthouse itself. Demons that are calling themselves DAs and public defenders. Group stalking in the courthouse. Shameful conduct. Bringing on a tribunal. It is shameful. Shameful. I practice law. It is literally, when I witnessed it, okay, somebody I highly regard law, the practice of law and order, the placement that it has in an organized civilization, and to witness those that were sworn into the same bar, witness them target me. And we are supposedly, you're talking about what's supposed to be quote unquote brethren, if you will, with regard to their devotion to serving Satan. And I know the same body of laws. I took the same California bar. I know exactly the same exact laws that they're governed by, while they weaponized their position against me. That's not an accident. They thought that they were going to get away with it. It's a criminal act of a federal nature. And it's also, again, providing jurisdiction to the federal government. You cannot get redress in the state courts, who, by the way, are group stalking, literally the specific environment. But they are inherently engaged in the pattern of conduct where you're being physically abused by the corrupt police who are established. The police are group stalkers. So the police do not help the sheriff's department and the courts. But even beyond that, the sheriff's department and the courts are individually, with regard to the system, they are participating and they are intentionally engaging in the pattern of conduct by merely disregarding the rules and the policies and the laws that govern them. That's not an accident while they do so. That's how they facilitate the kidnapping. It's not an overworked criminal justice system. It's not an accident. It's an intentional engagement in the targeting system. It is intentional. This is how they get away with kidnapping and calling it a day of handling the business of the people, of the criminal justice system. Or even in the civil courts, when I sought to bring as a plaintiff the case against the state of California, and they engaged in what is evading service of process through the same sheriff's department, by the way, that engaged in repeatedly kidnapping me. That same sheriff's department is the one that evaded service of process. And that same court, San Bernardino Superior Court, Thomas Garza, all right, engaging in what is an intentional decision, refusal to do what is very easy for a judge. The judge can simply make the sheriff's department do what it's mandated to do under literally statute. It's built into the office that the sheriff's department holds to serve service of process for a fee waiver recipient. All of this is already litigated as documentation against the state. For the entity to refuse to do so, and the court, that's not an accident what Thomas Garza engaged in. This is what I'm speaking to. That's group stalking in the courts. What's the objective of group stalking? To murder or kidnap someone. How do you engage in kidnapping somebody in the courts? By not abiding by that which would result in relieving that target individual from remaining in custody, from disregarding and intentionally refusing to do that which is very clear within the rights of that target individual. When that target individual is a legally trained professional who knows the law and is creating what is a brief in order to prosecute the state, and it is within your office to service a process, and the target individual creates the necessary paperwork and court documents in order to present that request in the court, and the judge just outright refuses to do so, that's not an accident. That's called criminal facilitation. Remember, federal group stalking and monitoring is underway. That's kidnapping. You're going to federal prison for that. This is what Thomas Garza, the state's criminal act of evading service of process in the civil courts. I am subject to an ongoing criminal attempt on my life in 2024 because of what the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department and what the San Bernardino Superior Court via Thomas Garza engaged in. And it's a matter of that which I litigated. The court documents. The refusal to provide to me that which I am entitled to under the law. They were required to do that, and they didn't. You know why? Because they were group stalking. They were facilitating the group stalking. They were seeking to obstruct justice and have that system continue. Because they intended on, not long after I submitted those court documents, the entity stole my vehicle. And on October 2nd, 2029, the entity gang stalked me via helicopter from this Ovid Family Community Library right back to the location where my vehicle was stolen. The documentation, the evidence is showing what has been an ongoing criminal endeavor against me for years. And those fools, those baboons, are in 2024 continuously holding hands with the people of the state who are going to federal prison for group stalking with that corrupt department. It could not be more foolish. I have never seen such foolish conduct, and it's exposing mental illness because there's a body of evidence showing what they did step by step by step by step for years. Who would do that? Somebody that has binded themselves to Satan, and perhaps you don't have a choice, but you're going to make some hard decisions when you're engaged in group stalking, because now your demonic system, your demonic activity, your little witch coven is subject to federal laws. You're subject to federal laws. So your engagement in this criminal conduct, which is a product of your devotion to Satan, your demonic conduct, your demonic targeting conduct, it's unlawful, and you're going to be prosecuted for it. You're going to be prosecuted for it. And there's natural consequences apart from whatever it is that witches and warlocks suffer when they fail to deliver to Satan. I don't know anything about that, but I know what's going to happen under natural law, under the federal policies that exist. where police departments are devoted to stalking, that police department that's engaging in that, showing a level of impunity that the Ontario Police Department have, that police department will be disbanded. And it's the same with regard to the removal of any sheriff's department, the removal of any corrupt courthouse, and those that are occupying positions in that corrupt courthouse. You will not avoid justice because there's more judges and more DAs and more PDs and more court clerks and more deputies in that courthouse and more deputies of that sheriff's department, all of those who need a job, and nobody cares about that. You will be uprooted altogether. Because what supersedes, contrary to what you understand and clearly what you believe, while you think that you're going to get away with this, that targeting individual's constitutional right will trump your right to exist as an entire department. Because it's terrorism and it's not going to be tolerated. It will not be tolerated. In order to enforce the constitutional and human rights of an American citizen, you will find that an entire police department will cease to exist, wiped off the map. Because it sought to target you tried to murder and kidnap an American citizen. Just one. You try to do it to one, you're putting that whole department at risk. And that's what you're witnessing is ongoing in California, in Ontario. All right. So like I said, I'm going through what is the pattern of conduct while it is maliciously underway, and it's operating as a whole system. And that which I have litigated all the way up to the California Supreme Court, it is showing the criminal facilitation of group stalking by the appellate level and by the California Supreme Court. This is already litigated. Erica Lorraine Spencer v. People of the State. And I intentionally engaged in it. It was a mode of documenting the state's pattern of conduct through the corrupt courts, while that entity sought to continuously try make an attempt on my life. They were group stalking me the whole time. Why are you group stalking me day and night by the corrupt police? Because you're still trying to murder and kidnap me while I'm documenting you through the corrupt courthouses. You're looking at what is facilitation by the courthouse. Never forget the big picture. While they're group stalking day and night for years, I have litigated it through the court for purposes of illustrating on the whole scale of the state of California the corrupt city. All right. That's through the courthouse, showing what is not an accidental failure to deliver justice by the court system. They have proven themselves to be the group stalkers that are not capable they're not worthy. They cannot be trusted. They're proven to be untrustworthy. Because if they could have shown a division, a line in the sand before they anticipated being exposed, not now, it's too late now. It's shown when you thought you were getting away with it. That's what we're looking at. When they thought they were getting away with it, they thought that they could have someone living in a bubble. No one's ever going to hear about it. No one's ever going to learn of it. And we're just going to do away with this targeted individual. That's the moment that we're looking at. When you see what the courts were facilitating at every level. When you see how they never ceased to engage in targeting me on the streets in Ontario. In California, okay, in San Bernardino County, and then you're looking at what was going on through the courthouses and how they avoided prosecution, exposure of this system of public corruption. That's not an accident, okay? What the entity is necessarily doing so cooperatively. It requires everybody to not do their job. It requires everyone to not do their job. And so the federal response is that you're talking about what's not going to be tolerated and the ways in which you are learning now. You can be found out for group stalking. Where facts of group stalking are underway, everything that facilitated it, including in the courthouses. You're not just going to, it's not an act of discretion by a judge. No, it's not. It's not an act of discretion by a judge. It's a criminally facilitating act by a venue that's enabling a kidnapping and an ongoing agenda to target an American citizen. It's not an act of discretion by a judge. Facts of group stalking, that's showing a system, and the entity is going to learn the ways in which that's going to be prosecuted, and a thorough and comprehensive investigation of what the state was doing at every level. Which, again, the demons who are group stalking by police, they've blown the whistle on the whole state. This is how the body of evidence is showing and is demonstrating and is literally turning on itself the implosion of the state system of federal group stalking and monitoring. It's imploding. All right. The demons that are, again, at the Ovid Family Community Library, They're group stalking, pacing all around me in the parking lot and impossible light activity while they're monitoring this evidence. The Ovid Family Community Library is that, which is, again, years of criminal summoning, because they want to stalk me and monitor my genitalia in the bathroom, and then engage in a criminal defamation and criminal summoning in doing so. Oh, yeah. The City of Ontario has long been engaged, the municipality, just like I documented again today, has long been engaged in criminal obstruction of justice worthy of federal prison. And there is no statute of limitations regarding that. And they are engaging in group stalking now. And so I'm going to document the people of the state. Impossible light activity. But my train of thought, it's more important that I document this regarding the ongoing body of evidence and speaking to the wealth of documentation against the state of California, this massive return to sender, all right, that the world is going to witness, provided, literally executed by King Jesus himself, okay? Because there is no practice of witchcraft. There is no demon in hell. Satan himself cannot contend with the Lord Jesus. He triumphed over death, or he already won. It's these demons that think that they can make some sacrifice. And no, it's never going to happen. He literally rose from the dead. It's never going to happen. So what do you have here? Big picture, which again, those that are, that serve Satan, that is the loser. They're incapable of this macro level of analysis. When you know the truth, that is the word of God. When you know the Lord Jesus himself, when you know what he's already won, he has the keys. He holds the keys of life and death. You're never going to win. All right. So with regard to this, entity that's engaged in a criminal conduct, it's demonic. It's demonic activity. And they made a sacrifice to Satan that they could never deliver. And you know why? Because he's already won. He's already won this battle. So they sought against one, and from the outset, it was never going to happen. Do you know what that is? The Lord Jesus, who lives outside of time, sitting on the throne, is looking at what is the conspiracy by a bunch of demons that serve Satan. And they're doing so with regard to an endeavor that was never going to succeed. Because he has already won against the principalities of dark. He's already won this. When he rose from the grave, when he literally rose from the dead, that is, I want to be clear, that seals the deal with regard to the ability to triumph over a child of God. It's never going to happen. So the entity is engaging in what is a trap. All of the traps that the entity laid out, they are going to find themselves caught up in those traps. Spiritually speaking, that's what's happening. Okay? All right. Federal prison, license plate 8RDX043. Crossing path at 12:57 p.m. Terrorism while impossible light activity fills my vehicle. Ontario police is group stalking with that third party. That level of impunity is worthy of federal prison. I want to document that. I'm sitting in the parking lot. This is what the entity is doing on an ongoing basis while a demon is stalking. The government that is engaging in still group stalking you, acting toward wanting to murder and kidnap you, because that's why they're group stalking. The entity that does so is speaking to, with regard to prosecuting this witch coven under federal law, is communicating an unlawful threat, still chasing you down like a stalker on the street. Okay, chasing you down, all right, drooling out the mouth, still chasing after you when you have actual laws that are telling the state that, okay, why are you still stalking this person? And you are in violation of federal law that is inherently supreme to the state. The state has no authority to do so. This is all embodied while a group stalker crosses path in the matter that I just documented. That's an unlawful threat. The state is communicating, I don't care about federal law. I'm still going to try to murder and kidnap you. I don't care that you're documenting it. I'm going to interfere with that federal investigation, which is, again, a mentally deranged entity. No, you're not. The federal government is supreme. Federal law is supreme. You're not going to do any of those things. And while they just did that right now, 12:57 p.m., that third party is going to federal prison. Understand, that's what an entity is doing as a whole population over and over and over again. That level of disregard of federal laws. So I just want to make sure that I just document that third party is going to federal prison for what I just documented. That's exactly what the ordinary target individual shall not be subject to. That's an unlawful threat to the life, let alone the fact that you're group stalking. So then you want to group stalk someone who is blowing the whistle on you. What, that sort of mental illness, that sort of psychopath, nobody cares about the contract you made with Satan. You're now going to answer under natural law for that which you are engaging, which is unlawful. What's going on between you and Satan, whatever sacrifices whatever debt you owe, that's not that targeted individual's problem. And the federal government's going to prosecute you. 8 LLC 333. All right, just sitting in their car. That's a sleeper. Okay, been sitting in their car the whole time. Nobody's been walking by. Nobody got in that car. That's surveillance. They're crossing path. They're monitoring what that other demon that was crossing path with the engineer light across my car. But I want to be clear what that demon did driving by me, and the engineer light that you see shooting through Starbucks. That's a terror. That's a threat to your life. It's a threat to your mental well-being. That sort of a threat, you're going to federal prison. Understand that the corrupt police that want to murder you do it through the population. So I just want to make sure that you are very clear regarding what that third party that drove by me and filled my vehicle. That's an unlawful, that's an act of terrorism. Doing so, defying the federal government and doing so. And since you think you can do that, you're going to federal prison. So I want to articulate all of that, which is an unlawful threat in communication to the federal government. That's why that third party is subject to federal prison. Anyway, license 7XQS865, 9BHN878, 6J69178, 9GBG848, 7DZX043. That's a commercial vehicle ability first. 9GTV998, 8F46942. Just documenting more of these license plates because while I've been documenting everything that I'm stating on a podcast is ongoing evidence. Surveillance in the parking lot, 9LXC934, surveillance while walking to your vehicle. It's all activity creation, 7FRJ042. They're all engaged in surveillance in the Ovid Family Community Library right now, in the parking garage, driving around the Ontario Town Square, living at the 280 North Lemon Senior Citizen Apartments, all right? License Nevada M243. That's a disabled veteran that's engaged in the un-American criminal system of group stalking. So you don't get any honor for that. All right, those are the things that you need to hide. You need to hide the fact that you're a veteran because it's shameful. Nobody's going to, no. This is a quote unquote veteran that's been given over to Satan, engaging in what is antithetical to what you supposedly are fighting for as a veteran in the United States. You're engaged in un-American conduct. You're not going to be honored. You're going to be treated like any other demon, any other third party or state actor, group stalking in Ontario. You should hide the fact that you're a veteran because you bring shame on those who are veterans that are not a part of this corrupt system. 8GYS963. You bring shame on them. All right, you bring shame. There's no exception. They know exactly what you are, and you're engaging in conduct that is not fitting, that is unbefitting, that is not characteristic of what veterans want to be standing next to, having any parts of. Because that's certainly not what people died for this country for you to be engaging in at any point in your life, whether you're retired now or you're a veteran right now. There are people that are out in the name of the United States. Okay. But this matter of corruption that's going on in California, like I said, I'm going to keep my opinions to myself. But the massive public corruption that's going on with regard to what California is engaging in is speaking about what we are actually doing in other parts of the world as well. It's suspect. 8NPB 108. When you are targeting American citizens, the government is targeting its own citizens. That's what they're doing in other third world countries. They're giving us propaganda about our stance with other foreign countries, about all we can rely on is what they're telling us. They're not even telling you that they're keeping you under surveillance right now. They're not telling you that. Oh, I documented this third party. They're crossing path again. They're not telling you that. All right. So this is just informing you about what's going on. The Lord Jesus is coming back in judgment. And the American government should not be your God in the first place. That shouldn't be your God. That shouldn't be the basis of what you choose to do or not to do in your own personal life. Okay. Clearly, it's fallible. Oh, they're just having a good time pacing. 8NPB 108, having a good time pacing back and forth. P.O.C. That's a threat to your life. They're chasing me down. They're stalking me in the parking lot. Okay? Remember, stalking is shown to the specific environment. Crossing path is significant criminal activity. License plate. Impossible light, that's a threat. Crossing path in a white Tesla. License 9EUM929. All right, all they're doing is, this was so pathetic. They're stalking in bathrooms and they're stalking in the parking lot. All they're doing is, and this is also the purpose of documenting the pattern of conduct by the demons who are group stalking. They are doing things like stalking in a grocery store. Who has heard of that? Who stalks their own relatives? Who stalks somebody in their own home? Demons that think that they're protected under the traditional definition of stalking. No, that's called malice, ladies and gentlemen. That's called malice. And it shows your mental illness, by the way. You're going to find yourself in an asylum. You're going to find yourself in federal prison. It's currently 1:04 p.m. The entity has the fake sun over. I'm going to go ahead and capture an image of that. The entity kept the fake sun over the Pomona very foolishly, kept the fake sun over the Pomona 3423 Starbucks, and here it is over the Ovid Family Community Library. License 8PIM400. This is an aged third party. A sleeper sitting in the parking lot. And when do they decide to start moving? The moment that I'm speaking of what I'm about to do. They're monitoring on a communication device as well. It's federal stalking. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, documenting 8CFW420, group stalking, I want to be clear, with the Ontario Police in a shaded parking garage where sunlight is never just going to manifest in the shade, and they're group stalking by keeping their emergency lights on. These are hazard lights. It's a method of light activity creation while they're stalking at the parking garage at the Ovid Family Community Library. And another demon in the path with headlights, 9NYU340 is group stalking with 8CFW420, putting their hazard lights on while they're parking. This is an entity, again, stalking by engineered light is what I'm documenting in a shaded parking garage, okay? Just like you see inside of a Starbucks in Pomona where the fake sun is remaining. These are demons. These are not normal people. This is demon possession exposed. The manifestation of light in the shade, doing so while you are using your communication device, doing so while you're engaging in any movement. These are not normal human beings. These are demon-possessed stalkers. All right, and that third party has their hazard lights on. They turn their hazard lights on as I begin documenting on my phone. These are not normal human beings. They know what you're doing. All right, that's why they're not engaging in what are genuine car accidents. These are not accidents. This is fraud in California by a demon-possessed population that's abusing the system that's in place. This is a system that knows that it's being abused. This is the government itself. This is the entity that makes money through these malicious means in California. Okay, the entity is group stalking, and that third party, those third parties are engaging in group stalking in this parking garage. Just light manifesting out of nowhere while they're driving around in the parking garage. It's currently 1:07 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, license 8MXD072, 8VPD021, 25649K2, 8EML259, 7KPJ192, 9KIF519, 7H23430, 7PZN960, 6RDV712, 7XJJ845, 8KDF317, 6HKU659, 9EGP325, JL1U999, 9DYZ759, 9BIH687. Demons walking to their vehicles as I'm documenting while engineer light in a shaded parking garage is, again, supernaturally occurring, just like you saw inside of Starbucks. They walk to their vehicles in their group stalking. This sex offender, license plate BNS5400. That's a Tennessee plate. That's a demon-possessed person who's group stalking while that supernatural occurrence is coexisting. 7HDH892, 9COA179, 8LWG968, 8GYG772, license 8MJU240, 8MIX073, 5XYB262, 9ALW274, 7XFD695, 7HPF865, 9NZY005, 19866E2, 8ESZ840, 6S02052, 8AFD533, 5UWK601, 9EBV454. Group stalking at the Ontario. This is the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library, shared by the Ontario Town Square, shared by the 280 North Lemon Apartments. This is a city senior apartment complex, heavily documented group stalker, okay? As I've already shown, the evidence, it doesn't change. These senior citizens on walkers and canes are group stalking in California, okay? And their Social Security will be put back into the Treasury. That will help the economy in the state of California. They will go to federal prison like any other group stalker. You're not going to be treated differently because you got some prescription, you have some physical ailment while you were stalking an American citizen with the government, okay? That aged part of the population will go right to federal prison like any other person. It's not going to change. All right, the entity is group stalking on an ongoing basis. 9KAB452 while I'm inside of this parking garage and engineer lights moving across the top of the parking garage. That's a supernatural occurrence that's not accidentally happening while demons are walking to and fro their car. They're crossing path, they're pacing. While remember, that's not sunlight, and neither could the sun be over the Ovid Family Community Library. This is the municipality, the city, the population, the statewide pattern of conduct, and it's demonic activity. These are not normal human beings. These are the demon possessed. 9KTZ968. 7YNY765. 8VEZ992. License 9LY8808. Crossing path coming into the parking garage 8LOM580. Okay, under a fake sun and engineered light that's in front of your car. No, that's a group stalker. In a blue Tesla, a Latino male with a backwards black cap, knows exactly who I am and is targeting me as opposed to exercising any constitutional right. Let me get your surveillance in the parking garage. Hey, Satan, how's it going? Hi. All right, this is surveillance, all right? While impossible lights inside of the venue, while impossible light activity shooting around, 9MLP293 is engaging in what is manning the path. All right, that's open surveillance by, again, a Caucasian male, an overset Caucasian male who I have not welcomed to monitor my genitalia either. Okay, he has no business stalking with the state, and I also didn't welcome him to monitor my genitalia because that's what he does as a group stalker in California, a violent sex offender. Okay, again, doing so with regard to the demons who are group stalking on all levels of the parking garage. 9MLP293. You'll see a method of what is criminal surveillance and federal stalking in Ontario. P.O.C. That's either a Caucasian male or a Latino male. Very hairy, overweight. P.O.C. All right, this Asian male engaged in surveillance. License plate DE55B68. That's a white paper plate on a gray Tesla. That's an Asian male using the charging system inside of the parking garage to group stalk. He drives out as a method of crossing path. All right, POC. It is currently 1:14 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and get a parking spot. I had to document while the entity engages in what is, again, I've never witnessed this level of just, oh, please prosecute me. Please prosecute me. Me, prosecute me. I've never seen this before. It's very foolish, but this is what the demons do. And this is exhibiting, again, their obsession to engage in group stalking. This is, again, the chokehold that Satan will have you in, dragging you to the plummeting, okay, to the depths of like cockroach conduct as human beings, and it's sad. They're doing so while you're going to be prosecuted. You're not just engaging in witchcraft, which is group stalking. It's demonic activity, this ritualistic behavioral pattern. You're engaging in conduct which is unlawful. And aside from what you suffer as you fail on providing under your little demonic contract with Satan, you have consequences under natural law. You're being prosecuted. You're being prosecuted. And so this is very, very unfortunate. It's very disturbing because that's legally going to be prosecuted as obsession. Because that is obsession. All right, the entity is so obsessed. Even, for example, this is how you prosecute. The entity is so obsessed. You submit your court document to the superior court, the evidence that stalker is still outside of your house every night, hiding in the bushes. You took pictures, you submitted it, the pattern of conduct with regard to prosecuting traditional stalking. That superior court is providing a restraining order, ordering that defendant cease to engage in stalking you, okay? But that stalker is literally undeterred, okay? Totally unconvinced that they should stop, will not stop, still stalking outside of your bushes every day, despite the fact that you have started the prosecution to enforce your rights to not be subject to stalking traditionally, as you would prosecute in the superior court, getting your restraining order, continuously documenting. That unlawful threat is what the state communicates while it is still group stalking you. And they are witnessing, they're monitoring the evidence, which is an unlawful intrusion in a federal investigation. Okay, these fools are exhibiting obsession, just like the stalker that will not stop hiding in front of your house in the bushes where you're looking at them, staring at you in the bushes. What type of sicko is that? Okay, this person is gone. Their mind is gone. Okay, their mind, it's gone. They know that you're documenting them. They do not cease to stop hiding in the bushel in front of your house where you clearly see them. You're taking pictures every day. They've already been told by the court, stop stalking this American citizen. Stop that. Don't do that. Okay? And the entity still does so. You're understanding that, analogous to what is group stalking. An entity is doing so while they're aware. They're aware of the evidence. Okay? That's legally analyzed as obsession. And anyone else, just like traditional stalking, that stalker's mindset is necessarily brought into the controversy. Okay? This person is not well. Neither is this entity. Not well. Not well. Not well at all. Not well. Okay, that's the only thing that's amazing about the pattern of conduct. That's the only thing. How profound the level of obsession when you have clearly lost your endeavor to secretly group stalk someone and nobody be able to tell, you lost that a long time ago. So now what is it that what are you doing exactly, other than teaching the world about demons and about their methods of targeting you? What else are you doing? Acting in conformity, testifying to the supremacy of the Lord God. Nobody can contend with him. He has already triumphed over death. All right. The entity is engaging in a pattern of conduct that is speaking to the worthiness of the Lord Jesus to protect his children. All right. Because that's literally the ability to do this is because of what the Lord God he has given me eyes to see. He has given me the ability, the skill set to speak to it. This is not me. And I'm not claiming that at all. Okay. Because you're talking about what is supernatural. I'm not supposed to be living. I'm not supposed to be able to describe these things, prove these things that I'm describing. That's not supposed to happen. Okay. Satan didn't bargain for that. Satan's minions didn't bargain for that. I'm telling you, they did not bargain for that part. And the demons, the entity is not all-knowing. Satan is not all-knowing. Satan is not omnipresent. That's why he requires the high numerosity. But you're talking about what is mistaking numerosity for actual supremacy. Okay? The Lord God has already triumphed over the wicked. He's already triumphed over Satan. In other words, you can have an abundance of demons, and all you need is one. Okay? 1 plus the Lord Jesus equals majority, equals victory. Okay? And that's the truth. That's the truth. All right. It's currently 1:19 p.m. And I'm documenting group stalking in a parking garage. It's very, very embarrassing. It's embarrassing because it's exposing what's wrong with it's exposing every level. While I'm documenting a group stalking population, it's documenting what's wrong with those that are in positions of leadership. And it works just like that. It is currently 1:19 p.m. This is P.O.C. in Ontario, California. All right, demon stalking, 5FJC480, driving into the parking garage and engineer light travels in front of their car in perfect alignment with me. License 9MDE697. Anticipating me getting off the elevator in perfect alignment with hazards on 9CUE769. These are a bunch of demons. This is so sad because it's mental illness. And he's a sex offender, 9MDF697, touching all over my thighs and my genitalia with impossible light. While the fake sun is over the parking garage. 5BW8377, hazard lights, 4BOD796, under a fake sun. Let me get that for you while they're engaging in a massive sex offense. Obsessed with my genitalia, touching my genitalia, stalking as a population under a fake sun, 7UJW. 963, stalking with hazard lights. These are demons, and you're recognizing the P.O.C. very clearly standing out while it's an ongoing departure from being over the Pomona Starbucks. The light activity creation is key to the specific environment. While your genitalia is molested with engineered light, that's a sex offense. License. This is hi. Alrighty, a license 5BWW377, stalking on the side with light activity 03947H3. This is an aged third party. Again, molesting my genitalia with impossible light activity 9GXE458, stalking, molesting my genitalia with impossible light activity UPGOD. They're all a part of this sex offense together, and you'll see the fake sign clearly over the parking garage. It's nowhere in Pomona, California, where it remains again until 4:22 p.m. This is the same old family community library where I've documented the fake sun over me at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. Daylight savings time or not, 1:25 in the afternoon. It's speaking to the massive sex offense that is group stalking and obsessed demons. These are not normal people. They are marching around, pacing all around, group stalking as a population. These are the sex offenders that are going to be prosecuted. And it's exposing, again, what's wrong with Paul Leon, what's wrong with Mike Lorenz, what's wrong with the sex offenders that are molesting my body right now. Again, 7UJW963, and Paul Leon is a sex offender right along with her or him. License 8HMZ054, 8DJK196, 8RQU253, 6DYY555, 7MFV809. All right, you'll see these Caucasian women obsessed with my genitalia, molesting my genitalia while they're stalking. They're stalking with the police. They're stalking with the population under a fake sun. You're looking at demon-possessed people who are sexually consumed with the genitalia of the one whom they're group stalking. License 8 KEX 993. And that is, again, the Ontario International Airport. That's not flying over Woodside Senior Apartments, flying over the 280 North Limit Apartments at the Ovid Family Community Library. All right, flying higher than the fake sun. 9LOW457 P.O.C. Alrighty, what you see the Ontario International Airport doing, every airline, not just Southwest Airlines, I've documented Alaska Airlines group stalking, flying, which makes international flights, flying while the fake sun, which you know that it's supposedly the natural environment that would be over the Pomona Starbucks. This is not the case, and this is what you will pay attention to in the body of evidence where you're looking at stalking by an airport. This is an airport that's lost its privilege to exist while it's engaged in state surveillance in Ontario. And so again, Ontario doesn't need an airport. That's what Ontario continues to demonstrate, and that is going to be the case. Where you have devoted the operations of an airport to stalking, that is absolutely absurdly ridiculous. And the entity is engaging in that, and what you'll see is a fake sun, because that sun, by virtue of it not being over the Pomona Starbucks at 3423, where it remained, as I just documented 24 hours ago, that's speaking to the crime scene where you are identified as stalking, and a demon is flying commercial planes. There's so many levels of conduct that are that are in violation of the law. And it's also speaking to the ways in which it's going to be addressed with regard to the prosecution of the city, the prosecution of the state. Demons shall not have access to pilot licenses. Convicted domestic terrorists are not going to they're not going to keep their licenses, and they're not going to be able to access the training required to get a pilot license. You can't just apply to do that anymore. It's also going to be prosecution for group stalking, a disqualification for that. The entity is group stalking, flying over the Ovid Family Community Library. Stalking is the clear identification of stalking with the population that's molesting my genitalia with impossible light under a fake sun that's over the parking garage. This is the fake sun that's over this library at 8 o'clock in the morning. The documentation dating back to 2018. 2024, 5 years later, will never differ. It's never going to be different. In 2018, the sun that's over this location at 7 in the morning. In 2024, it's not going to be over this same exact location at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, give or take away daylight savings time. This is irreconcilable direct evidence of what is group stalking that the Ontario International Airport has been practicing for years, and that's also why they will be removed altogether. Removing demons like Alan D. Wapner from positions that they hold as the president, and while simultaneously sitting on a government body in this corrupt city. All right, it's exposing everyone. All right, I tapped that in images in the Ontario International Airport, flying over another senior citizen complex, which those demons who are group stalking are not complaining about. While again, far from any location from Terminal 2 or Terminal 4 at that low elevation to be heard, to be seen when you're not engaging in stalking, as you analyze on a common sense level the criminal conduct of a corrupt airport. And while they listen to the inevitable consequences, those demons who are indeed stalking, facing disbanding, begin sounding their sirens like they did day and night while they were stalking me at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. All right. They're going to be prosecuted, removed. The corrupt fire department, the corrupt police department, the demons that are stalking American Medical Response, and you are listening to the demons that are engaging in what is impunity. All right. This whole city. That's an AMR, that's group stalking. Crossing path on Euclid Avenue. Demons pacing, 9HDJ126. Demons pacing, wearing a hard hat. Group stalking. License 039478H3. Group stalking, pacing. Oh, no. Go ahead, I'm gonna get that license plate, Satan. License. These demons are pacing. AMRs on Euclid. Light activity, sirens. 5BWW377. This is what the Ontario International Airport does with the amplification of plane activity flying over the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library. All right, that was another iteration. Ontario International Airport in the sky space. American Medical Response on Euclid Avenue. This is the state engaging in that pattern of conduct. While this is what the terrorists, the sex offenders, the criminals respond with. While again reasoning in their mind, this is exposing mental illness. Demons that represent driving EMTs that are group stalking in Ontario. You're talking about permanent removal from the medical field. You get that official authorization to engage in the training of the to be in the workforce as an EMT, and those are literally like you see Falk ambulance with impossible light on the curb. Nobody cares about the fact that you're certified to be some EMT when you're a domestic terrorist. You're a sex offender. You literally engage in stalking by driving an ambulance. That's being dragged to the levels of being a cockroach as a human being. You have no business in the medical field. You are using a whole ambulance to engage in stalking. It's the most pathetic posture that a human being can be found to be engaging in. American Medical Response represents that. They're group stalking on Euclid Avenue, sounding sirens while a bunch of demons pace in front of me under a fake sun. That's public corruption. Textbook P.O.C. All right. While the fake sun that's not in Pomona over Starbucks is the evidence of that criminal engagement of the pattern of conduct. This same location is where the fake sun is over this venue at 7 in the morning, where it is at this same time yesterday in Pomona over the Starbucks for the duration of the day. While in real time, while being exposed, the entity chose, as you hear, they choose to continue on an ongoing basis, which is why the airport's going to be removed. This is why the police department's going to be disbanded. This is why American Medical Response, as a corrupt company that's devoted to criminal conduct and not the emergency medical services that they're supposedly paid for. That's what they should be focused on. They're focused on my genitalia. They engage in that same conduct when my panties are down in the bathroom and a bunch of demons are pacing around the library, stalking somebody in a bathroom. Those are sex offenders, not EMTs. American Medical Response has been engaged in state surveillance, as I documented, for years. They are also engaged in kidnapping, which is sitting on the record. They're going to find themselves in federal prison. This is impunity while in 2024, while they're engaged in federal stalking, and they're facilitating this criminal system with the people of the state whose license plates I just documented. Nobody's forgotten what American Medical Response has done with the Ontario Police Department, and you're going to federal prison. Nobody has forgotten and who you are, your names. You are going to federal prison, and American Medical Response is a suspect company, corrupt. They're engaged and committed to surveillance, not emergency medical services in Ontario. Okay? The entity is engaging in that. The Ontario International Airport, they're devoted to surveillance, and they are providing the evidence of that crossing path again. All right, and the second-by-second decision-making skills of the mentally ill who have no business in operation of an airport. They have no business in operation of a pilot license. They have no business even working at an airport. It's literally a national concern while domestic terrorists work at airports. This is what the demon possessed are demonstrating, and all the ways in which this massive return to sender is going to manifest in the natural with regard to the prosecution in the state of California. They continue to demonstrate that. All right, that's defiance by a corrupt airport. That's group stalking. All right, it is currently 1:33 p.m. This is P.O.C. Remember, 1:33 p.m., the entity has a fake sun that's setting at this same venue after 6 p.m. So that will be 5 p.m. with regard to daylight savings time. That in and of itself is speaking to a pattern of conduct because the sun is not a stationary object that's going to be at the same address for that prolonged period. And it is to the departure from nature. How is there ever a sun in Florida at all when it's remaining stationary at one address? This is basic common sense, not rocket science. All you're doing is witnessing what is the documentation of the demon possessed who are engaging in a targeting system, and it is coming down from what is supposed to occupy the spiritual realm and never be suspected in here on earth in order to be described, documented, and prosecuted. This is the judgment of those who serve Satan. And it's in the prosecution of the city of Ontario, a demon-filled city who are engaged in a series of criminal conduct for years. And it's going to be the removal of the demons that make up the fire department, the demons that make up the hospitals who are driving ambulances, the demons that make up the police departments and the sheriff's department. And they're going to be prosecuted. Removing things such as an infected airport that's committed to surveillance as opposed to making money and just conduct your business and maintain your flights, but they're devoted to surveillance. This is, again, what Satan is committed to. That level of absurdity of criminal conduct is supposed to be so unheard of that you are going to be criminally defamed as suffering some mental incapacity. This return to sender is going to result in the mental asylum of those that are stalking while flying commercial planes, those that are going to be sent to federal prison for group stalking in commercial planes and in helicopters, subject to confinement in mental asylums for stalking people in a federal prison for stalking people in helicopters. The mental asylums for kidnapping and criminally defaming American citizens when you're using ambulances and fire departments and police departments to criminally defame someone while you're exercising fictitious authority under Section 51 and 50 of the Welfare and Institutions Code. They're going to find themselves in mental asylums. All right, and perhaps there they will wake up from the deception that Satan has them under, that they were ever going to get away with this forever. It was never going to happen forever. There is a day where there will always be a reckoning for that which is happening in the dark. It will always come to light. Always. Always, it will always come to light. The Lord Jesus will only suffer this for so long. He will only suffer. He will only try with this people who are wicked, determined. Fire department pacing back and forth. All right, those are a bunch of demons that need to be, the population is going to be relieved from the demons that are occupying the Ontario Fire Department. This psychopath is driving past, make a U-turn, driving right by. That's pacing. Nonetheless, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and this is speaking to, again, to its own demise. The Ontario International Airport can continue pacing their days of waiting. Am I going to be raided by the feds? Am I not going to be raided by the feds? Am I going to end up, or what federal facility am I? Those are the questions that they reasonably wrestle with in their mind, because the Ontario International Airport is not going to be subject to a prosecution. They're awaiting the ways in which that prosecution is going to manifest them over that airport that's not going to exist in the city of Ontario anymore. And that has already been decided while they continuously engage in that pattern of conduct to its own demise and to the demise of the city of Ontario. All right, I'm going to go inside now, where the entities group stalking me out inside of the Ovid Family Community Library. It's 1:37 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, inside of the Ovid Family Community Library, where group stalking is inevitably underway. So I'm just want to document an ongoing act of terrorism where engineered light, just like in the parking garage, has nothing to do with the fake sun. It's speaking to the ongoing conformity to the P.O.C. by the employees.
Oh, okay.
Hi. Quick question. What's your name again?
Carlos.
Carlos, do you know if there's anybody that would be working at the center or the desk over there?
Not there right now?
No.
Okay, let me go call.
Okay, thank you. All right, Carlos is group stalking. Impossible light activity is swiping across the wall inside of the Ovid Family Community Library while a bunch of people, just like in Starbucks, looking to the left and the right like nothing's happening. That's psychological torture. This is terrorism that the city of Ontario is engaging in. Do you guys know where the people, somebody that's working at the desk? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody that's working at the desk over there, so I can get like a. Hi, I haven't seen you in a while. What's your name again? Gregory. Yeah, I remember you. Hey, Gregory. How's it going?
I think they're helping somebody find a book right now. They're
Probably working. Oh, in the book stacks.
Oh, okay. I'll message Abby so she'll come up.
Is it Mickey?
Yes.
Mickey. Man, I have a good memory. I know it. Hi. I'll just wait then. You're saying somebody will come back over there?
Yeah, just behind you.
Oh, yeah. Abby. Abby. Hey, Abby. How's it going?
Good, how you doing?
I'm excellent. Thank you. I wanted to find out if I could get do you guys have any study rooms available?
I'll
Or?
have some later.
Oh, later? Okay.
How can I help you?
I need help.
Okay. So you're going to want to log on to a computer. Do you have your library card?
Yeah.
Any computer you see open, just go to log in, okay?
This is
Once
P.O.C.
you pull up what you want to print,
They're pacing while they're conducting the business of
Give
the
me 1
library.
minute. All right, let's see what I got.
What is it right now? 1:41. Yeah, I guess you're nearest.
I've got 3:30 to 5 or 4 to 6.
And how long do you get it again? It's been a while.
2 hours.
2 hours? Okay. I will sign up for
3:30 to 5 for an hour and a half.
no, I'll take the 4 to 6, the 2 hour better. I'll just sign up for it. Oh, wait.
No.
Do I have to have my library card?
You can get a copy of it from the front desk with your ID.
Okay, then yeah, I'll sign up for it. What do you need from me?
Whole name?
Erica Spencer.
ERICA.
No, C-A. That's the correct way to spell it. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I don't think I've met you before. What's your name?
Brianna?
Brianna, hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. All right, and how many people will you have in your party?
It'll
Can I
be
have
just me.
one?
Just one, yeah.
Okay. All right, beautiful. So you're all set for 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. You want to make sure to be no later than 10 minutes for your appointment. Get a copy of that card from the front desk. We'll set you up in there.
Okay, thank you so much, Abby.
course.
Good seeing you.
Good seeing you
See you
too.
later. All right, that's P.O.C. The elements of monitoring underway, pacing, and engineer light just swiping across the library wall. That is relevant to psychological torture, while a bunch of mentally ill psychos are group stalking inside of the venue, which represents the municipality. Ovid Family Community Library is the City of Ontario, a state facilitating venue. This is the municipality group stalking. Okay, everybody whose name that I did documented, literally the conversation is a federal offense. They're monitoring. It's 1:42 p.m. This is P.O.C. By the way, these are the state actors that engaged in kidnapping with the Ontario Police Department on more than one occasion, with the exception of Brianna. Okay, Brianna is an unfamiliar face, but Brianna acts as the same entity. Remember, this is not the individualization of state conduct. All right, you're joining in with a kidnapper. You're group stalking with an entity that's an established kidnapper. You're joining in with the entity that's engaged in years of sexual violence. You're joining in with an entity that's engaged in the ongoing engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring, and doing so with impunity, like you hear. Another third party approaching while the entity maintains noise in the background under the fake sun and engineered light. Sitting next to you in engineered light, multiple shadows inside of the venue. Those are the demons that are stalking and monitoring your genitalia in the bathroom with that same level of impunity. That's what Brianna represents while she's engaging as a kidnapper with the entity that is a kidnapping. That's engaged in a pattern of kidnapping from this same venue. Abby, Carlos, Mickey, Gregory, federal prison. All right, they've already engaged in kidnapping with the state, and they're still engaging in that with impunity to date. It's P.O.C. So you're mindful of what's already on the record. All right, you want to engage in kidnapping, criminal conduct with an established kidnapper, then you're going to be subject to those same consequences. This is the entity that's, by the way, what I'm speaking to, I am merely articulating the rules of the application of how you're prosecuting any criminal conspiracy. All the criminal co-conspirators, you want to engage in robbing a bank with somebody that's already engaged in murdering multiple people. While that robbery is underway, you're going down for the same criminal acts that are reasonably anticipated when you engage in such a violent act such as a robbery. You can anticipate that someone might lose their life. It's the same thing with regard to federal group stalking and monitoring by government. That's conspiring to murder and kidnap you. It is reasonable to anticipate the loss of life, the unlawful loss of life, while you're group stalking and while you go in with an established kidnapper that's currently engaged in years of documenting of engagement in this criminal system. Yes, you're going to be subject to that criminal prosecution. Be very clear about who you engage in criminal endeavors with. All right, that's how you prosecute any criminal conspiracy to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring. Because the entity is woefully unprepared for the ways in which federal law is going to prosecute them, that's not the target individual's problem. All right, that is the enforcement of the constitutional and human rights of that American citizen who has a right to not be subject to it. It is currently 1:45 p.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 3:53 p.m. The demons that are group stalking, providing intolerable facilitation by working for the City of Ontario at the Ovid Family Community Library, are stalking with audible activity by just slamming a stapler, just slamming something on the desk with simultaneity to my pressing the record button on this phone. That's federal stalking by demons that are working at the facilitating venue of the Ovid Family Community Library at 215 East C Street in Ontario, California. These are the same demons that have engaged in a pattern of kidnapping with the demons that are the Ontario Police, who shall be disbanded for engaging in this criminal system with the intent to obstruct justice while engaging in what is not only state surveillance, which is criminal, but also federal stalking under existing federal statute Title 18. And that's how they know what it is that I'm documenting, and they sought to obstruct justice by repeatedly kidnapping and masquerading as a legitimate law enforcement agency who is necessarily making up information regarding any criminal charges, any probable cause, any reasonable suspicion. Why I'm capturing podcasts right now, because what I've captured is there's a wealth of video documentation showing that Ovid Family Community Library is group stalking, the evidence of what is the specific environment where the population is shown to be stalking, and the incredible manner of what is the system of group stalking. And it's exposing the reality of Satan, the enemy of your soul, who hates you, despises you, and will put you in a position, if you submit to him, he will in every way shame you as a human being and make you into very sick and despicable things, such as sex offenders, such as a stalker, such as a child abuser, such as one that is an inhumane attacker of your we may not be physically related by blood, but with regard to human beings, we share the ability to be redeemed by the Lord Jesus, who died for all of our sins. And Satan, who hates your soul, will in every way use you up like a mop, like a dirty mop, and make a fool of you as you do that. That's what the group stalkers are, the demon possessed. Right, that's their experience right now while they're witnessing their public exposure. They're witnessing their own prosecution and their criminal conduct, which is entirely disgusting. It is unfathomable, but it is actually proven, as a matter of fact, with regard to the ways in which Satan is targeting American citizens. This is a system I'm subject to, and I'm showing you the evidence of the fact that not only are they demons, but they are engaged in what is criminal conduct, and it is inhumane. This is the significance of my capturing podcast right now. And the reason why I didn't capture video is because this is exactly what I've been documenting since 2018. So you are able to recall the documentation that is being published onto the internet regarding 2018, 2022, the criminal conduct that Ontario, the Ovid Family Community Library, is engaging in. And that's exactly what I'm capturing. And at 3:50, the reason why I chose that time specifically is because you are looking at what is not sunlight that fills the Ovid Family Community Library. So you're understanding what is surveillance on its face. You're understanding what are demons who are intentionally in that demonic environment, who are creating activity. You see impossible light activity filling the library. You see impossible light activity under the covered structure, while you're looking at what is demons who are pacing all around me. And this is exposing it's akin to looking at ants marching all around, except for cockroaches is more fitting of the demon possessed, but they are engaged in that marching type conduct while I'm capturing the fake sun that is, again, exposing what is under no circumstances a natural environment. It's impossible. 24 hours ago, the entity at 3:50 is on video under the fake sun that remains at the Starbucks at 3423 Pomona Boulevard in Pomona, California, and you're looking at it over the 215 East C Street. This is a venue, a state facilitated venue. This is this Ontario Ovid Family Community Library. So that is intentional with regard to showing what is under all circumstances an unnatural environment. That phenomenon is not there coincidentally or accidentally, nor to the ignorance of anybody that's surrounding me in that environment. This is exposing the population in Ontario that is a group stalker, and that is group stalking via the people of the state in the city of Ontario who are knowingly, intentionally, and willfully engaging in this criminal system of group stalking, where it merely requires activity, moving, audible activity, and they are simultaneously creating light activity while that which is not sunlight and that which is not the sun, out of conformity with nature, where it would be over the Pomona Starbucks in Pomona, California, and under no circumstances capable within a natural environment being over the roof still at my point of entrance. And even at 3:50, it wouldn't be there. But you're talking about it in a different city, specifically over me. I'm looking at it through the windows. Those demons are molesting me with engineered light at the Pomona Starbucks. That's supposed to be, again, the specific environment you can see on your face inside of that Starbucks. Sunlight is never going to fly through in the air, swiping across walls while you're merely opening the door, driving out of the drive-through. None of that is sunlight, neither is that the sun. However, this is how you are understanding what is demonic activity. Demonic activity is occurring in a specific environment when you're understanding what is stalking by those demons. And where you have the government engaging in stalking, or you have a federal case for criminal surveillance. All right, the entity is engaging in a specific environment. Excuse me, sir. I'm going to get right past if you don't mind. This is called stalking in the path. While they're standing in engineered light as though they're focused on looking for books and DVDs, all right? This is the unlawful engagement of criminal surveillance with the population. And they are under a fake sun that's over this library, and that which is never going to be sunlight is on the inside and on the outside underneath a covered structure. It defying science. It is the supernatural. While you see them walking in it, they intentionally and knowingly do so, and they're doing so with a corrupt police department. Recall the documentation, the kidnapping on June 18, 2022. They are kidnapping me under the fake sun that's over this venue at 10:29 in the morning. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:50 to be exact when I'm capturing those images. You can give or take away an hour. It will never account for the natural environment. That's speaking to the malice with which the to-be disbanded Ontario Police Department knowingly and intentionally group stalking upon what is the exercise of fictitious authority. The same entity, Abby, Carlos, Mickey, Gregory, who are working at the venue, still group stalking in 2024, still engaging in federal stalking under Title 18, actually still communicating a threat to my life and safety and well-being, monitoring the evidence and interfering with the federal they're going to federal prison for all of the above, and they engaged in kidnapping on more than one occasion in the specific environment, that ongoing body of evidence against the city of Ontario, which is the state of California, is serving what is the prosecution of the state. And this is a massive return to sender. While these demons serving Satan, practicing their ritualistic pattern that is intended to psychologically harm and is supposed to result in your murder and kidnapping. All right, that level of malice, that is under no circumstances ever going to be tolerated in this country. It is exposing what is not only public corruption, this is domestic terrorism that's happening in the United States. All right, and this is pointing the attention to every facilitating venue where the corrupt police, where the corrupt sheriff, the corrupt courts have engaged in exercising authority that they don't actually have under the Constitution, and people are being kidnapped, making up criminal charges, engaging in what is manufacturing convictions against very likely innocent people. It brings everything as suspect regarding what the state has done, in other words, because the state cannot be trusted. And this is showing the massive public corruption. You gain all of this from showing you what is a fake son that's over this Ovid Family Community Library, based on the evidence that exists with regard to my isolating this venue, even as I document, and also as you are aware of the documentation regarding what happened 24 hours ago. And it is naturally impossible that the sun is remaining at the Starbucks in Pomona for as long as it did. And not only that, it is also impossible that the sun is going to be over the Ovid Family Community Library, where it's remaining as a matter of documentation, because you have to document with conclusive evidence, because Satan is a liar. And Satan's system is such that if you have all of Satan's demons claiming that you are crazy, that you are making it up, oh, well, then that results in what is establishing mental illness. This is how this corrupt system is operating. That is a lie out of the pit of hell. It doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it lawful, because this is what the entity has been doing. It's exposing what the entity is doing, and that prosecution is going to pivot with regard to what the entity shall be subject to. That's unnecessarily an abuse of power. But that's literally the formula, because you have all the demons claiming while they are the criminals, while they are the mentally ill, you are the wrongdoer, you are the sick one, while they're targeting you. All right, it is spiritual warfare, but it is manifesting in the natural as what is group stalking. All right, the entity is doing so with regard to the evidence that is conclusive. There's no sun over the Ovid Family Community Library, while it's remaining clearly over the Pomona Starbucks at 3423 Pomona Boulevard at the intersection of Temple and Pomona Boulevard in Pomona, California. That is not over. It's not seen through the entrance doors. It's not aiming any sunlight underneath the covered structure, by the way, into the depths of that library. It's a scientific impossibility, even if that was the natural environment, even if there was no evidence of a fake sun, even if there was no established fact of engineered light, there will never be the product of this light on the inside of this building. All of that light that you see beaming off of the wall into the depths underneath, none of that is sunlight. It's impossible. That's not the product of sunlight. That which is the sun, which would be at a far higher elevation, by the way, the natural environment. And not only that, if that was the actual sun that's hunkered down so low directly above us, we would all be set on fire. Okay? We would not be able to exist. You're talking about melting, literally burning up. Okay, this light source is way too close. In addition, it's above us. It's not adjacent to us. It's not a laser shooting light object into the depth. None of that is a natural environment, and you can just dissect the evidence showing you what is this light activity. It's totally incongruent with nature. Okay, in addition to the fact that there is no light source, there's no sun, no natural environment that will ever consist of it remaining over the Pomona Starbucks at that intersection in Pomona and being over simultaneously at the same time. That's what you suggest. This is where you are aware and you can witness yourself. We don't have to talk about the reality of the Lord Jesus Christ. We don't have to talk about whether you want to concede or not that he is coming back in judgment. We don't have to concede or not whether you believe that he is the Son of God. We don't have to we don't have to pontificate about any of that, because you can see on its face the evidence speaking to the reality of what is. I'm going to give you the term. What's the explanation for this, which is irreconcilable? It's demonic. Satan is real. The enemy of your soul is real. And the one who gives such information, the one who gives such revelation, the one who gives insight that no natural man can on his own independently come up with, is he himself, who came and lived and died and rose from the dead. All right. His name is King Jesus. He is on the throne. He is very real. And he's coming back in judgment. And the prosecution in the state of California is nothing other than a sample of his working power. He is alive and well, sitting on the throne. He is alive and well. And he's telling of all of Satan's minions. He's naming them by name. He's plucking them out of the positions that they've stolen. He's placing them in federal facilities where they belong. He's removing them from the ability to hurt and harm any other people. They will never have the same lives again after they are touched with the manifestation of this federal prosecution of the state of California. Their lives will never be the same. And that is for the betterment of American society, not just Ontario, California, not just the state of California. This will have reverberating impact in this country. All right, this is exposing domestic terrorism. All right, and the level of malice that America demonstrates while seeking to secretly, in other words, America is engaging in terrorism, but America doesn't want it to be known that it's engaging in terrorizing its own citizens. They don't want to be known that way. They want to look like, oh, this is a Christian country. And I'm not going to lie. No, you're known by what you do, not by what you claim, not by being defined by what you want everyone to see, but that which you don't want everyone to see. When you don't think anybody's looking and watching, that's what you actually are. I just want to be clear. I want to capture this on podcast because I did not capture it on video because I don't need to. The documentation of what the Ovid Family Community Library is, which is speaking to the state of California, there's a body of evidence. I captured this documentation, what I captured today, November 13, 2024. It is already embodied in the body of evidence for years and years and years. I captured this on a daily basis in a wealth of videos. All right. I took pictures. However, you will see the light source. Look at all those images, all that directed light. They were all simultaneously engaging in group stalking while you see them walking in the engineer light under the fake sun. That's necessarily a fake sun because there's no natural environment that will consist of the sun remaining stationary over Starbucks for that duration of time also. And neither will it simultaneously be over the Ovid Family Community Library. While you see people in that environment, while you see them walking all around, they're monitoring. These are people with demonic spirits on them. These are Satan's employees. And with regard to the natural, this is the government who's group stalking with the people of the state, identified through the specific environment, which is clearly on its face, as you are aware of the evidence. And the purpose of the P.O.C. and the evidence within the P.O.C. is to show you, to prove the reality of Satan, to prove the reality of demons. If you don't know what demonic activity is, what is the purpose of what they are doing and where they're doing it and how they're doing it and what they know as that, all of that is established through the P.O.C. as a matter of tangible evidence, because God is prosecuting. That's why he's prosecuting Satan. All right, I just want to make sure that I speak to that, and that's why I made the deliberate choice not to capture video, because it is redundant. This case has already been proven. All right, and it is embodied in the body of evidence. But however, you can look at the videos that are published onto YouTube. This is the audio documentation that coexists with the images that I captured right now. It is shared to the Google Drive, the link in order for you to see the evidence of the entity engaging in group stalking me while I'm at the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library. This is the state's pattern of conduct. As you go from city to city, as I've documented from state to state, you remain subject to a statewide pattern of conduct. And this is speaking to indiscriminate engagement in that P.O.C. The maintenance of a fake sun is the direct evidence. That's why I can go to any city hall. That's why I can go to the home of any mayor. That's why I can document. I can go to any police department where those police officers live. They're group stalking me. All right. This is not the natural environment, and it is pointing out an entire state that is engaging in that criminal system outside of the bounds of the Constitution. The government has no warrant. There is no probable cause. There is no lawful authority to engage in criminal surveillance. It is unconstitutional. It is a mode of terrorism. It is literally un-American. While you have American citizens, while you have the American government targeting American citizens in the United States. After all, we are not so different than what they are doing in third world countries. This is what, unfortunately, the evidence proves. This is not just unsubstantiated commentary. All right, these are the greater implications regarding what's going on in this country, and it should inform you in your own personal lives regarding who it is that you will serve. Because you're making a decision, whether you consciously do so or not, you're making a decision about who you will serve. Choose life. Choose life. Don't choose death. Choose life. Life is in him. There is no God before him. And he clearly stated, yes, I'll be right there. I'll be right there. Thank you. He has clearly stated, that is Abby monitoring me. This is clearly a decision that every man is making. And even those that have been given over to Satan, and I'm referencing the demon-possessed who are group stalking. Remember, you're not just group stalking as a criminal. This is exposing the demon-possessed. Group stalking is demonic activity. So you are possessed by Satan, and I said exactly what I said because that's exactly what's going on here. Driving by with engineered light, moving across structures as that's not a normal, that's demonic. That's a supernatural occurrence. And you are cooperating with that supernatural occurrence while you are simultaneously present, while you're simultaneously stalking with noise, while you're simultaneously engaging in some mode of light activity creation with my every move, while my genitalia is exposed, while I'm in a private space where I live, as I document, as I use my communication devices, all of that which I'm free to do in this country outside of your consent, and you shouldn't have any knowledge about it in my castle, in my private space. This is prosecuting Satan. Satan is using the state of California, but it's also with regard to informing you in your life and what you choose to do. We all have decisions and choices to make, and a lot of people have made the wrong decision. They've made the wrong decision. They're on the wrong side. And I'm referencing when he returns, and you do not know, tomorrow is not promised. You can drop dead today, in an hour. It's not promised. That goes for all of us. You are not promised tomorrow. And you're going to stand before your maker. You're going to stand before him. And if you do not have someone to stand in with regard to being your advocate before the Father, the Lord Jesus will stand before, and he's going to say, depart from me, you evil workers, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you. To hear that is going to ruin you, because you'll understand the weight of that statement by the Lord Jesus in eternity. Okay, there will be suffering, there will be weeping, there will be gnashing of teeth. There will be no break either. All right, you have the entity that's engaged. Excuse me, sweetie. Thanks. All right, you've got those under the age of majority, group stalking inside of the state facilitating venue. All right, that's what I'm documenting while I'm talking to little kids who are group stalking inside of the library. All right, Satan is preying upon those at a very young age. And by the way, they're being targeted by their own parents with regard to being initiated, if you will, with means of sexual violence. This group stalking system, which is a massive sex offense, these same children are targeted and subject to sexual violence by their demon-possessed parents. Want to point that out, but the entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct with real-time knowledge of everything that's being documented. And so I just want to, I'm going to digress to what is the reality of Christ while the Lord is exposing the enemy of your soul. He's exposing him. He's exposing all of his workers, all of his employees. All right. This is speaking to what is the insurmountable evidence, the weight of the evidence tending to show guilt. It's tending to remove any legitimate argument. It doesn't exist. And while you're in a position of leadership and this is underway, you are established as a group stalker, a facilitator of this satanic system. Because it's not ignorantly underway. This level of group stalking, this level of corruption, it requires a cooperative effort from the top down. Department-wide? No, that's not a coincidence. And nonetheless, the standard shall be, you've ran for office, you were elected, you stated outwardly that it's your duty, it's your responsibility that you accept enthusiastically, all right, upon the endorsement of your quote unquote party, upon the endorsement, you're being commissioned by those who placed you in office. Did they place you in office in order to facilitate this system, to protect them? Or were you placed there in order to uphold what is right, what is lawful, what's constitutional? Because that's the position that you're supposed to be in. And those who are cowards, that are actually not leaders, that are actually not willing to stand out, that are not actually willing to do the right thing, they will be removed from the positions that they hold. This is a matter of public policy. It's a matter of public policy. So contrary to what the entity has been doing, no, you're not protected in the shadows. As group stalking is occurring in whatever city that you hold a position of leadership in, understand that it's pointing directly to you. It's pointing directly to you. And you should expect it's a matter of time, not if, it's a matter of time until you are removed. This is happening on your watch, and it is unacceptable as the mayor in the city. It is unacceptable as the chief of police over that department. It is unacceptable as the commissioner over that over the state police. It's unacceptable at all levels. All right. It is currently again it's beyond 3. I just walked outside. So yeah, it's 4:15 p.m. This is nothing but group stalking at the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library, and understand that this is the municipality. This is the city of Ontario. And the fake sun that's over the Pomona Starbucks is not the natural environment. Neither is it over the Ovid Family Community Library. And the evidence is already sitting on the record. And that is why I chose to capture images and give a narration on the podcast, because the evidence is sitting there for the world to witness. This is what has already been documented while the entity repeatedly kidnapped me, seeking to obstruct justice. This is what has been documented day in and day out for years. It is redundant for me to capture yet another video. Look at the videos yesterday, and then you will look at the pictures that I took today. That is the specific environment. That's the crime scene where federal group stalking and monitoring is underway. And to continue group stalking me in 2024 is to pose an unlawful threat to any ordinary American citizen who doesn't typically have the evidence to prove that the state is group stalking them, is targeting them, is gang stalking them. These are the ways in which it's been addressed before. And it's not a matter of mental illness by that targeted individual alleging it. It's a matter of the evidence against the demonic entity that's targeting in a malicious manner, in a way that it thought could never be proven through tangible evidence. That's what the entity thought. That's what the entity plotted. All right? But that didn't work. All right, it is currently, again, 4:16 p.m. if I vote? Yeah, 4:17 p.m. I am at 215 E.C. Street, where the entity has a fake sun as early as 8 o'clock, even before 8 o'clock in the morning. 2018 through 2024, that will never be the natural environment at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Never. Let alone it's not the natural environment while it's remaining over the Starbucks in Pomona yesterday, November 12, 2024, and it is an outright departure from that, where it's remaining over me and the engineer light inside of the venue. That is speaking to the intentional engagement in group stalking. The entity is threatening my life, stalking every move that I make, monitoring my genitalia in the private space, which is the bathroom, and they're doing so intentionally and knowingly, with impunity and malice. This is P.O.C. License 9MPL681. He's molesting with the rest of these demons that are engaged in surveillance in the parking garage. So a demon touches me with impossible light while these demons are sitting in their vehicles. You hear them talking, using their car alarms, walking back and forth, perpendicular shadows. This is monitoring, and this is a massive sex offense. Demon comes from behind, touching you not with headlights. They're stalking. That's 9KKR803. Okay, and sitting, using the alarm as I start walking, waiting to sound. That's the psychotic pattern of conduct of a bunch of stalkers. That's a sex offense, though, molestation by the 9MPL license plate. But that's a molestation by an entity. That's group stalking you. That's a part of the perpetual sex offense. Monitoring you in bathrooms, always molesting the body with impossible light, stalking you inside of your private space. All right, that's the P.O.C. And while I'm at it, I'm going to get this demon license plate. Stalking in the path. This is a demon lying in wait, waiting till I get to the staircase. The only way that I can get upstairs to start their car. It's a method of stalking in the path with light. 9JEM706. And they've been sitting in their car engaging in the psychotic lying in wait tactic. They were a part of the molestation as an entity. They're sex offenders just sitting around. Oh, she's coming. She's walking outside. All the demons are already in position. It's really psychotic what demons do. It's currently 8:36 p.m. This is P.O.C. at Ovid Family Community Library, a group stalker. This is the city of Ontario. Group stalking. P.O.C. It is currently, there you go. I want to come right on in front. This monitoring, this obsession, hands them right over. License 9LRK120. The entity is keeping pace with me via helicopter. License 8ZMX647. They are monitoring in real time aware of what I'm doing on my phone as I do it, and the entity is stalking along the driver's side of my vehicle. I am on the 10 West Freeway, passing exit 37B for Barranca. Exit 38A right now is where I'm at. This is West Covina. The entity is, again, this is all manner of a threat. You see the state stalking you by helicopter, and you see the people of the state that are surrounding you on the freeway. This is an unlawful threat to your life. All right. And this is the communication of a threat of the entity to take your life as well, because there's still groups stalking you, and they're monitoring the evidence that is the property of the federal government. This is all manner of an unlawful threat while the entity is still stalking. Understand that this is a threat that I've been subject to for years, okay? And that's part of the way that this, and relevant to the way in which this entity is going to be punished upon prosecution and convicted, all right? It's currently 9 p.m. This is, again, the 10 West. It's 9:01 p.m. This is P.O.C. License 6PXK693, 7SKP547, 8VEU215. West Covina Police Department engaged in criminal summoning. I am in the city of West Covina. This is either CHP or West Covina Police. It's still the state that's stalking on the side of the... Yeah, this is CHP. All right. State police, gang stalking. Understand, if I remain on the 10, this is criminal facilitation, light activity. I get off of the freeway, so I have the convenience to get this demon's license plate, and they're going to federal prison. The people of the state are group stalking with CHP. It's light activity creation. This is license 1549045, P.O.C. That's CHP. That's gang stalking. State facility. Remember where they're at? While I get off the freeway, they're right near an exit. This is akin to this is exactly what the third parties were doing underneath the freeway bridge today. While the fake sun was over me, just picture the fake sun over me, and that's what CHP, they're stalking in the path with light. So the fake sun over me during the day, the people of the state were gang stalking underneath the freeway, and I captured those commercial actors engaged in light activity creation. This is the demonic activity that the terrorist organizations practice, and CHP is maintaining presence, a relevant position to me while I'm on the 10 freeway. This is literally demonic activity. That what is so shameful that this is the law enforcement. These are the people that you're supposed to be able to trust and be able to call. They're threatening your life while they are a group stalking you. All right, that's what's so wrong with this system. It really is tragic. It's very sad. I wish I could just call the police and have the situation resolved. Who do you call? So understand the position. And this is the position I found myself in 2018. Who do you call when the criminal is the police? Think about that, because that's the position I was placed in, that I'm placed in, that the ordinary target individual is in. Who do you call when the police are the criminal? Who are you going to report to? Who are you going to call? All right. So that is the unlawful threat to your life. And this is why federal prison, nothing less. Nothing less. That's the design. That's the plot to take you out. That's the plot to take your life. All right. It's currently 9:05 p.m. That's criminal facilitation. And that's the unfortunate reality. You don't have actual law enforcement in California. This is lawlessness that's being exposed in California. And this is encouraging lawlessness amongst those who are in the position. They're supposed to be maintaining law and order. And they are a part of the problem. They are the core part of the problem. All right. It is currently 9:06 p.m. This is P.O.C. License 8ZML040, ongoing repeated molestation while the demons are stalking with methods of light as I'm driving on the streets. The tactic is that they just sit in parking lots aiming their headlights in your direction, but that's not headlights that would reach at that great distance. It's a sex offender's pursuit to touch you. 4 NFW 744, the same conduct. This is engineered light that's aimed in your path while a population is stalking you. They do that by stopping at the traffic light, appearing as, oh, I'm just waiting for the light to turn green, stalking in the path with a method of light, sitting in a parking lot, sitting in the drive-thrus, driving through vacant parking lots, aiming light in your direction by any means, right? While they're crossing path systematically. License 8ZML040 is group stalking on an ongoing basis and is doing so with impunity. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct and is doing so while they're engaged in real-time monitoring. So I'm going to get a sex offender's license plate. License I'm going to get this sex offender's license plate. Running behind buildings and stuff. License 5ZML. Let me get the rest of this plate. This is a sex offender. They want to engage in terrorizing you, molesting you, harassing you, and then trying to flee the scene. This is the cowardice of the terrorists that make up the people of the state, the constituents of the state. It is licensed, not 5ZML, excuse me. It is 5ZKB265. The specific identity of this terrorist, of this sex offender, if they're not a natural born citizen, they will be deported, just like the rest of them. This is P.O.C. This is, again, the specific knowledge is admitted. The intent, the criminal intent to engage in the pattern of conduct on behalf of the state is admitted by virtue of the specific environment, which is the impossible light activity. The entity is doing so on an ongoing basis while they're all engaged in federal stalking. It is currently 9:12 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is harassment that you're subject to just driving around. And imagine a stalker stalking you in a grocery store, stalking you while you're driving on the freeway, like you're going any random place and somebody is just stalking you, and they're stalking you like everywhere you're going, even if you're going nowhere. Okay, very often I'm just driving around documenting, and all they're doing is stalking me while I'm documenting another third party. I'm documenting them. This is, again, the mentally ill, though. This is exhibiting obsession. They are obsessed. Okay, they're obsessively engaged in the pattern of conduct of group stalking. All right, it is currently at 9:13 p.m. This is, again, a threat to your life while you're surrounded and being pursued by the mentally ill who are obsessed, okay? These are people that are obsessed with your genitalia. They're also hostile while you expose them. They're hostile while they're in violation of federal law, keeping you under surveillance on the internet via communication devices. But at the same time, they're still stalking you. So you're mad because you're being exposed for stalking, but you're still stalking. And the fact that you are stalking under any circumstances, why again? Why were you even doing that? Oh, because you're a bunch of demons. Oh, okay. And so you don't need to know me personally in order to know who I am to engage in the pattern of conduct. That's the evidence, by the way, that they're demons. Okay? The absence of any personal relationship, that is the same information. That same phenomenon is the evidence of demons pursuing you, knowing exactly who you are. This is spiritual. It is currently 9:14 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, license plate 8RX M741. Molesting with impossible light activity while they're stalking me, knowing exactly who I am, where I'm parked inside of my vehicle at WINWOOD Apartments. So this is the same LARK Ellen third-party facilitating venue where the city of West Covina is group stalking together. Sex offenders, 98983W3. Group stalking together, a bunch of sex offenders, a pack of sex offenders, and it includes the sex offenders of the West Covina Police Department. Group stalking right along with them via helicopter. License AGB 062A. That's an out-of-state license plate. It is currently 9:38 p.m. All right, these are cowards that try to think that they're getting away with something while you're parked in the vehicle. And again, forgetting the big picture, I'm going to prosecute the entire city of West Covina. And the demons that are living and working away from this particular street are going to be prosecuted. It's a corporate criminal act. AGB 062-A, that is indeed the license plate. That is, let me see, what state is that? All right, the cowards that drove off molesting me with engineer light, this is the same entity. That looks like it's an out of state. I want to say Baja, California or something. It's AGB-062A. This is P.O.C. All right, this is a sex offense. The sex offenders, they engage in teamwork via sexual violence. They like to tag team in sexual violence. That's what these gang stalkers do. That's why they need to be removed from children. That's why they need to be labeled as sex offenders, which is exactly what's going to happen when this massive return to sender in the form of the prosecution of the state. All right, you got a sex offender pursuing me down the street. Let's get this demon's license plate. It is 8VJU692 P.O.C. taking part in that massive molestation. All right, license 8EQ571. License plate. License 8ZZV285. All right, these are the sex offenders. I am, again, on LARK L, and everybody in relevant position is being prosecuted for what these sex offenders that are patrolling all night long, 24 hours, all night, 24 hours a day. Well, the entity is patrolling around me 24 hours a day, but I mean all night long. The entity is engaging in surveillance. Okay. So while they are babysitting me all night long, this is a population that's engaging in corporate means of surveillance together. They do so while I want to document 721 ZYV, I believe. That's Nevada. 8RZB397. And these sex offenders. I got a demon that drove right onto the property over here. Let's get this demon's license plate. I documented all these sex offenders. They are acting with impunity while the same entity continuously engages in a sex offense together. That's a sex offender that refuses to stop violating you, by the way. The entity, this is Crossing Path. Let me get this sex offender license plate. 48925P3. I've already documented this paper plate, and it was a red truck that drove onto the property, and the closest to that will be identified in possible light across their venue at 1905. That's the address. I documented this property already. They're acting with impunity. They're still group stalking. License C9-78543 on a red Ford truck, pickup truck. And at the facilitating venue. Engineer light moves across your property, you're group stalking. License 4016-3A3. All right, these are the sex offenders that act with impunity. You've got more of them, more and more and more as I document. All right, this is the lawlessness that's going to be addressed when the city of West Covina, the people of the state, every the police department, the entire entity, 8SCW015, okay? That's an animalistic endeavor to hunt down and molest them, touch all over your body, wanting to stalk you. That sex offender is representing the entire entity, and so is the West Covina police. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes, and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state. And it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, this is the entity that is patrolling in the sky space directly above while these demons are molesting with impossible light activity. This is the entity that is acting in concert. That's called crossing a path while impossible light activity. And this is also where the fake sun is rising now in the morning in West Covina. That's nowhere near Alvarado Gardens or Woodside Senior Apartments. Again, this is the entity that's engaged in aerial surveillance and pacing in the sky space while sex offenders engage in that pattern of conduct together. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. license. All right, and this is what they're doing while you're parked on the side of the street, impossible lighted. While you're driving down the street, there is no headlights that creates the motion of the engine or light inside of your car. These are demons that are sex offenders, know exactly who you are, where you're at, what you're doing as you do it. Those are demons, and that's a stalker. And when you're stalking with the police, you go to federal prison for that in California. All right, this sex offender's license plate, it is license 8NTD148. That represents all of the animals in West Covina who are stalking as a population. And this is how important you are when you're not even sleeping inside of a building. They're stalking a homeless person. All right, somebody without an address, and the entity would like to criminally defame you as though you're losing your mind, you're hallucinating, you are under all circumstances suffering from some mental incapacity when they are obsessively consumed with you. It is actually what's going on. Level of malice is exactly why sex offenders are going to be prosecuted and subject to the penalties that they will be, including in West Covina, California. This is called surrounding. This is a demon, and so is this demon right behind me. Crossing path together. 9NSF841. All right, that's P.O.C. That's called pacing, and the entity is stalking in the sky space as well. This third party is group stalking with the state. That's stalking in the sky space. This is federal prison. Just want to point that out. License 9NSF841, acting with the state. That's pacing across the street. And you're seeing how this is not traffic. This is crossing path. This is patrolling. This is obsession. This is determination. 9NYL 855 8KQT 877. They're group stalking with West Covina police, all right, who are maintaining surveillance all night long, okay, over someone who they know exactly who I am while they engage in a very unique and specific pattern of conduct, which the police department, they're heading toward what is that, the destination for disbanding. Okay, Richard Bell knows exactly what the demons that are a part of that department are engaging in, how much money is spent on gassing up helicopters to maintain criminal surveillance with the demons who are the people of the state, just like the mayor of West Covina knows exactly what the population of demons, which he is also engaging in group stalking in West Covina, California. All right, I just wanted to document that. These are the cowards that all they're doing is surveillance. This is demonic pacing. All right, this is P.O.C. While they are monitoring evidence, also federal stalking is simultaneously being prosecuted when you're documenting group stalkers. S.H. Hart, NTF. UOO2NO 7EOD 465, I believe. It is currently 9:45 p.m. While you're driving by a vehicle like this, headlights, I could see beside this vehicle, headlights are not traveling onto the roof of the car and then moving in the direction like that's not, those aren't headlights. Those are demons who are stalking in the path. This is what they're doing also during the day, and it's disguised as a normal, beautiful day with a fake sun that remains over me while they are all pacing all around and engineer light is shooting all over the place like you saw inside of Starbucks. All right. Starbucks, again, showing the world the threat that Starbucks poses while they're making $1 on the backs of American citizens whom they're keeping under surveillance and acting to murder and kidnap, keeping you under surveillance and then threatening you more, sexually violating you, violating your constitutional rights while they monitor. OK, that's not headlights. All right. And that's not the direction that headlights are going when you're driving by. These are demons crossing path repeatedly. So what are you looking at? You're looking at this. Satan is pacing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And Satan does it through a population, repeatedly crossing path over and over and over and over and over and over again. This terrorism that's occurring in West Covina is speaking to the unnecessary, the mandatory removal of the demon that's calling him or herself a mayor. This is public corruption that's happening on their watch. And I want to be clear, the mayor is a group stalker as well. This is the mayor that's a closeted sex offender, that's a psychopath, that's a criminal. Okay, impossible light activity moves across the curb while a demon drives by. It's also impossible light activity while it's moving inside of your car. A vehicle that's driving straight next to your car is not creating headlights moving in this direction inside of the car. Okay, that's P.O.C. Alrighty, that's the pattern of conduct. These are demons who are stalking. And as I'm going up and down the street, traffic is building up. You've got more and more demons. These are the entity. This is the entity that's going to be attacking themselves. The psychopaths who are the demon possessed are going to grow in aggression, while those who refuse to repent and turn to the Lord Jesus for deliverance, for forgiveness, they're going to become more and more depraved. They are going to become, pay attention to that impossible light activity, what you just witnessed right now. This population is a violent and aggressive one. They will be attacking each other. And they will be targeting in the ways in which I've shown you. Group stalking is just one method whereby the demon possessed are targeting the kingdom of God, the children of God. Okay, they're attacking each other. Okay, you're talking about this is all manner of degenerate conduct. Okay, these are demons who are lost. They are in utter darkness, and it's just going to get darker, and it's going to become more and more dangerous while they engage in acts of violence. All right, that's P.O.C. That's license. Oh, I can't see that license, but I want to be right here. Is a documented group stalker, and they're acting as one entity. Let me go ahead and get this. This is 9DES 225. That's engaging in sexual violence. That's engaging in impunity. All right. I've documented this third party already. And while the criminal co-conspirators, the people of the state in West Covina, continuously engage in sexual violence and terrorism and gang stalking, this is impunity that's attributed to all of them. Okay. Driving by a vehicle will never create light moving in this direction inside of your car. It's not creating what is dynamic shadows, dynamic objects moving while the vehicle is driving straight beside you outside of the car at that. That's the same exact pattern. I'm just showing you at nightfall. You already know what engineer light is. You're looking at the engineer light that's moving inside of my car. That's terrorism by a population who's obsessed with my genitalia. They're also stalking me in bathrooms. They're stalking me on the freeway. You see them stalking me at the library. You see them stalking me while I am driving to get anything to eat. You see them stalking me while I'm in the grocery store. You see them stalking me when I am literally at home or at any other person's, that's a facilitating venue, at any other facilitating venue. There is no such thing as a private residence. They are facilitating venues where state surveillance is underway. They're all just venues. Okay. It is currently, again, 9:49 p.m. This is P.O.C. That's P.O.C. Maintaining the light activity, maintaining presence in the path. This is surveillance that West Covina, the people of the state, are going to be prosecuted for. That's P.O.C. All right, this is just a document, the Title 18 federal stalking, that every license plate that I just documented, those same third parties and the state are engaging in now, seeking to obstruct justice by interfering with the federal investigation. This is criminal monitoring on the video of the internet via communication devices for the criminal purpose of not only are they chasing you down, they're sexually obsessed with touching all over you. They're stalking you obsessively, and then they want to stop you from documenting the fact that they are obsessively stalking you. This is the mental illness, again, of the demons who are, again, they've been made into barbaric animals while they serve Satan. The demon possessed are literally barbaric animals, violent sex offenders, absolutely mentally deranged psychopaths who are seeking obsessively to also try to obstruct justice. And so this is documentation of what is the ongoing interference. That's the West Covina Police Department that's engaged in Title 18 federal stalking. That's a basis of federal prison for what? You're not only going to federal prison for group stalking while being in a position of a terrorist organization masquerading as a law enforcement agency who has any authority under the law while you're conspiring toward murdering and kidnapping someone. You are also subject to federal prison for engaging in criminal obstruction of justice. You are also obsessed with the criminal endeavor to get away with it. That's the purpose of criminal monitoring on the internet, on communication devices. Every third party's license plate that you heard is engaged in federal stalking with the criminal intent to obstruct justice. All right. While I'm in my vehicle, the entity that is still monitoring, they're still pacing, but they're still stalking. In other words, still engaging in harassment, terrorism with impossible light while they are also monitoring in violation of Title 18. In other words, to obstruct justice. This is why animals are going to be put in federal cages. They're summoning it upon themselves. This is exactly how the federal government shall respond. I just want to make sure I put this evidence. It's going on the internet. Not one time ever have I ever not published the documentation. It's going on the internet, and also your criminal purpose to obstruct that is also going on the internet. The punishment that you're going to suffer, that's also going to be published worldwide on the internet, because everyone is going to witness your punishment. Okay, 10:33 p.m. while I'm documenting, still stalking, still criminal monitoring. Okay, and this is what the obsessed, demon-possessed population, that this is what they're committed to. And they are committed, what they're finding out with regard to this massive return to sender, they have committed themselves to their own demise. All right, and that's the sentence. That's the ultimate sentence of the state of California. It's currently 10:34 p.m. This is P.O.C.